Greetings and welcome to the 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents another episode of Comic Book Talk with Friends. So glad to have some of you here with us this evening. I know there's a lot going on. We've been away for a minute, but we are back and ready to kick off a show. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. What's going on with the WGA? There's an agreement that's been made, but we're not going to really know the ins and out of that until tomorrow, until it goes public. So there's no firm, concrete details as of right now. A lot is just basically on the table, but it's a lot that will be talked about. We just got to kind of wait and see how that kind of plays itself out. But in a long game, like I said, I think that we can now breathe a sigh of relief because right now the WGA is coming to an agreement. Contracts are getting signed. We'll know more possibly tomorrow, which means that after that, we move in with SAG and we have to basically get that situation solved, which I'm pretty sure that'll be solved and everything will be back to normal as long as there's an agreement and we stand firm behind and make sure that there's an agreement that is made and everybody is fully supported. And on top of that, it's fair. That's the biggest thing, is that we want to make sure that it's fair across the board. So we are going to definitely talk about that, plain and simple. Among a host of other things, we're going to definitely talk about. We actually have an artist run today. So basically, we're going to talk about Marc, my guy, the good guy. If you don't basically know who I'm talking about, I mean, he is an artist among many, and you've gotten his work. You probably actually haven't noticed that you have his work, but he is definitely an incredible pillar, and that is Marc Silvestri. Again, Marc is, his work is pretty much known throughout DC and Marvel, X-Men run, Batman run. You know, there's a couple of things that he's actually done that he's touched, and it's been incredible. So we're going to definitely talk about that. We're going to also talk about Hickman and where he's headed right now. There's a couple of things that's going on with him. Also, we're going to talk about, again, Marty Scorsese is putting his foot in his mouth and saying some things. Is some of that valid or is it invalid? You know what I mean? Is some of what he's saying is true, or is it just, again, a bunch of gibberish that we're constantly hearing because he's butthurt? Who knows? That's up for the debate, but we will basically talk about that and some more things in shortly. And I have, the boys that basically be here a little bit later. Right now, it's just taking some time. So again, they got some things going on right now. As a matter of fact, I think we got V himself who's going to pop in here. So he's actually in here with me. V, what's going on, man? So glad to have you here with us.
Pleasure to be here, brother. How you doing, man?
So good, man. I'm straight. It's Monday, so you already know, man. It's the start of the week. This is always bullshit, but once we get past that, it'll be all right.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah, getting past the first day of the week, Monday.
Yep.
Everything else just kind of plays out. So we're going to definitely. So I'm just trying to get that out the way, and get past all that. But everything else is pretty cool, man. How you doing, bro?
Good. Had a fun weekend. It rained all weekend, so I definitely was off work. Wasn't doing anything. I got started on some art projects I've been putting off, and had a a marathon at the house for some action flicks. So we did. For those looking for some good action flicks to watch, we did The Killer. And we did Soccer, which is a Donnie Yen martial arts joint that he directed, which is incredible. And then we did Sisu, which I felt really bad that we didn't see in the theaters because it was fire. But Soccer was really amazing if you're into martial arts flicks. It's like a mix of like Hand in Hand and wire food stuff, but good story and amazing audio and special effects and stuff like that. So good times. good times for
Word,
sure.
word, man. I had we had a pretty festive weekend. You know what? I forgot all about it up until Friday night
Okay.
because of the way the
Yeah,
weekend
it's a lot going
was.
on.
Yeah, it was just so much
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, man. I mean, I heard the festivities were
Yeah,
super
it was
dope.
fun.
So
Everybody, you know how it goes. It was fun.
yeah,
Everybody had a good time. We're
was
gonna
Joe
try to
there?
do
Did Joe
something.
show up?
Yeah, Joe showed up. We're gonna try to do something for maybe Ahsoka, maybe for Aquaman. Also, we want to do a like a
Okay.
pregame for that because I was telling them about how that's actually probably the best audio of any of the stuff that I've watched in the past few years. Even above Ready Player One, the audio on Aquaman is phenomenal.
Word.
I know it gets so much shit, but it's just something about the home experience of that film is just phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, there's some zaniness to the film itself, but it is,
Yeah,
amongst what's not really saying a lot for DC. It's one of the many that kind of has some moments in there, and I think basically with the special effects and the all out battle underwater. You know what I mean? I think
yeah,
that's what kind of cemented it as like a really epic type of
yeah, man.
film. You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
I love it. I mean, it's great. If I mean, I didn't even have high hopes going into it, but the audio is amazing, the special effects are amazing, and I love what they did with Black Panther. So, I mean,
Yeah,
Black Manta. So, Black Manta just is just incredible in it, and it just like it's just amazing visually and audibly. So,
yeah.
I'm one of the very, very, very few people that are actually interested in seeing what they have coming for the sequel. I mean, I can't wait to see what they do with Black Manta to follow that up. I mean,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
I don't like I said. I feel like I didn't go see it. You know. 10 million times myself. It made $1 billion from somebody else going. So it's funny how
A
everybody's acting
lot of
like no
people.
one seen that movie and no one cared about that movie. It made $1 billion. It's like, all right, somebody went and seen it all them times. Everybody
Mhm.
real quiet about it. I'm like,
Bro, Jason Momoa, bro. He got a
how
draw, man. And it's the thing
people are
is,
sleeping on it. I know
yeah,
DC is even embarrassed by it. It's like, yo,
yeah.
that's your the movie made more money than any movie y'all have made. Period.
Hmm. Hmm.
Be proud of it. I have no
Yeah.
idea. It's part of the bigger problem I
Well,
believe
I
that
think
is
that
going on.
basically with them, they had no idea it was going to be as big as it was because they didn't put a lot of stock behind it.
Mhm.
I mean, but even with this film, I think you know what, definitely, bro. I think it's like almost a bait and switch type of situation that they want. It's the perception that they're going into it with low expectations, but they're hoping that it
It'll
gets the
be
same results
another
that the yeah, you know what I
be
mean.
another
So
underdog story.
yeah, bro, you know what I mean. So again, we'll see how that goes. They
Yeah. It's
they
it's
know how to
just really
punch it.
frustrating. There's a big portion of what's been going on with these DC films that
Yeah,
I feel like are getting negative press because they're about to switch things up. But it's kind of like, I mean that there's still money to be made with those films. Why would you not want to make the money while you're moving into a new regime?
yeah,
Even if you're gonna rock the boat and switch everything up, you still are in the business of making money. So why
that's
would
it.
you it's just crazy to me. It just
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would you not want it to be, especially DC, who's been known for one shots and
yeah.
singular event films? So treat it like that if you want to, but still treat it as something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
treat it
What
as
do I
something
know?
and let
Yeah.
it, happen the way it is. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. And but anyway, thank you guys out there for being with us. I'm actually go ahead and address the chat real quick. We got Amber May in here. What's
Hey.
going on? How you doing? Thank you for being here. We got Malika Mabane in the building. What's going on with you, brother? As always, Ren's Talent Tino. We got who else here? Louis Labitz. Let me see who else is basically in here. There's quite a few people that are actually skirting through here just to see what's going on and to see what's up, man. So glad to have you guys here. Also, before we actually dip in, I want to actually bring something up here really quick. And that's just to let you know again, we are full-fledged into the Halloween initiative. All proceeds, everything that we actually get or anything that's donated, as far as any super chats, goes towards making sure that kids are able to participate in Halloween festivities, that they get costumes. I've partnered with Stilton Elementary School as well as the Salvation Army, just to kind of make sure that this kicks off and that everything gets the space that it needs, and kids are able, to basically take, to celebrate. And Halloween, and growing up as a kid, you know what I mean, Halloween was always that thing. I made homemade costumes myself when I couldn't afford it. And then basically when I started getting the hang of it, I just started making costumes myself, period, because I was like, there's no reason to do anything else. So again, shout out to everybody out there who continues to donate, and it's going to definitely be something special. So we do appreciate that, and all the proceeds, everything that you continue to donate. We love you. But yeah, man. Oh, we got somebody else popping in here. As always, you know him, you love him. My man, Brendan is in the building. What's going on, man? How's everything going, brother?
Oh man, it's been
Still sick?
Oh no, my youngest is sick. She's been throwing up all day. I was literally just dealing with that before jumping in here. So it's been a fucking day.
So wait a minute, because I saw that you said you were sick first, but then everybody got sick. I think
there was like a nasty cold. It wasn't COVID. We tested like a million fucking times, but there was a nasty cold that tore through the house, and I was the last one to get it.
Oh,
so I got that, and then I had like back-to-back shoots and stuff, and I just had to power through it, and I like crashed for a week. I was like done after that, and then last night my youngest started getting sick with a stomach bug, and then she had to stay home from school today throwing up, so I didn't get a whole lot of work done, and she was still hurting tonight, so she's gonna be home again tomorrow, which means I'm getting not a lot done tomorrow either. So
yeah,
is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's always that fall shit. It's always the fall weather. Once the fall comes in, as much as I love the fall, it's like, again, all those viruses start skirting things that basically were hanging around during the summer. Once that heat clears up, it's just like, yeah, that shit just finds a little way to peek through.
Well, plus I got two kids in two different schools, and then my wife in a third school. So it's just all the stuff that goes around all these schools. They're like petri dishes in the fall.
Yep. And so, yeah. Speaking of which, parents, I have to basically say a lot to parents out there because, so Toya, who is a teacher, definitely at Stilton Elementary, and she teaches, pretty much assortment of kids. One of the parents decided to send their kids to school, not feeling well. Didn't know what the situation was. To come to find out that the kid tested positive for COVID. Yeah. So bullshit. Like, it's just the way it is. I mean, you never know these things, but I think that they were aware, and they did say that they were aware that the kid wasn't feeling good.
That's because they look at schools as free daycare.
Yeah, bro.
That's what they look at it, and they don't want to actually test the kid themselves because then they'll know, and then they have to keep them home. So they're just they just give them some Robitussin, send them on their way.
Robitussin, yeah, some bullshit, bro. Like, come on, man, cut that shit the fuck out. Like, literally, take your kid, get them checked out. Let's make sure that, look, devil's advocates, sometimes they just don't know. They never know. But at the same time, you got to be on top of these things because, fuck, that shit's out there. These viruses is out there. So stop fucking playing, man, like, straight up. But anyway, yes, everybody, COVID is still here. It's still alive. So make sure you get tested and you pull through. So definitely. But thanks everybody for out there. But yeah, we're going to jump in something really special here real quick. So definitely we're going to jump into the artist of the week. Now, this one, again, I'm surprised, another artist that we actually haven't talked about, especially with his work, his run in both DC and Marvel, and that is Marc Silvestri. Like, literally, this guy and his work, the extent of his work and everything that basically he has done thus far is just phenomenal. His X-Men run always been phenomenal, bro. And the thing is, it's like I had to go back and look at some of the covers. I had to look at some of the pages, some of the covers, and I was like, yo, fuck. I have this one, I have that one, I have this one. And then on top of that, like I said, his run, even beyond just Batman, bro, he actually even did a run. It was a dope ass run that he did with Swamp Thing. That was incredible. So again, dude is out there. He's been doing work. for the longest time, man. But when you brought it up, I was like, fuck, I forgot about him, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
he's been one I keep meaning to throw in the mix. I think he's in that class of your the image founding fathers. He's one of the ones that maybe aren't thrown around enough, but I feel like he should be just as thrown around as the rest of them. He's has an incredible career and done a lot of amazing things and responsible for a lot in the industry and um as a not just creatively, because I mean he's given us some of the most iconic covers like that
mm-hmm.
X-Men crucifix cover. Wolverine
Yeah,
is
yeah,
one of the
bro.
top covers of all time. Like that's like a key issue for a lot of people just from the cover alone. But his run on X-Men, his run on a lot of books. But I think like he really just made such a big name for himself when he transitioned to being more of a businessman. And Top Cow is and still is like a huge deal, because when a lot of the guys were off and leaving the pasture, so to speak, to go start Image, he did Cyberforce, and it
Yep.
wasn't as big as a book as maybe
Mm-hmm.
Youngblood or Spawn or Savage Dragon at the time, but he then parlayed that into Darkness, which was, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was a
Mm-hmm.
huge hit for him, and then he started Top Cow, which that was kind of the whole point. Like their whole thing wasn't just, oh, let's go, you know, work for another company that we own. It was just that showing everybody that you could run your own company, do your own thing, and that was a big jumping off point. Top Cow hired like a lot of creators, and it gave a lot of young artists at the time a lot of big opportunities that you don't have these two companies and then or obscurity as your only options. So he did a lot for the industry, a lot for the business, and then I think Darkness is one of the big independent success stories of all time. That book was incredible. I'm super shocked that there hasn't been even like rumblings of live action for Darkness. That would be incredible. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Darkness would make an amazing horror superhero film. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that story was always pretty amazing to me. And I mean, he's done so much stuff. I mean, he's always had an amazing style, just super slick, super detail oriented, very creative, super dynamic. Yeah, his work on X-Men is legendary. His work on Darkness is insane. He's definitely somebody who deserves a lot of notoriety that he gets for all the contributions he's made. He's one of the big guns for sure.
And wasn't it there was a bit of a behind the scenes not war, but behind the scenes exchange of words, between once people basically bounced off and started doing Image, and like their artistry was heavily influenced in like the 90s to the mid 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and how Rob Liefeld was like one of the ones that said that a lot of his ideas and art behind, like with the Wildcats and all that other bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
like how a lot of artists were stealing his influence. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, wait a minute, really? Like where does that come from? And it's like, what, he's not getting the credibility that he wants. There's always
Yeah.
critique about his art. There's always critiques about his art style in general. But a lot of these artists who know that they've been influenced by him aren't giving him the credibility that he needs. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why should they? You know what I mean? Because
Well, I
yeah, go ahead.
mean, an ironic accusation considering that virtually every single character he's ever created
Yeah,
has been just basically like a wish version of some other superhero. I
yeah,
mean, you look at
yeah,
Youngblood, and it's all every single character is just a ripoff of somebody else. Every
yeah.
one. You
Mm-hmm.
have your Thing
Mm-hmm.
character, your Hawkeye character, your Wolverine character, your Destro character. Everybody he's ever created has been a very, like Earth 2 version of some other character. So to say that
Yeah.
people were kind of like ripping him off as, I don't know, I wouldn't add much credence to that.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I don't think that there was too much, credence given to that whole. Ironically,
Yeah,
there wasn't too much given to it. And I think it was just one of those things where a lot of people just let Rob talk. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They just because they know, and a
yeah,
lot of people know. You can't just base you can't base your style or your success off of just one success, like huge success story that kind of amplified and took it to a different. I mean, yes, you introduced certain characters that were, huge for its time. It might have actually been highly influenced because you even see basically even some callbacks in a lot of, and especially right now in the what is it, the not Powers of X, but what is it called right now? What's the run, Brendan?
All of X.
Fall of X. Right now, even with Cable and between Cable and Bishop, there was a
right.
callback, a art form, basically a callback with the big shoulder pads and stuff like that in one of those books. And again, it was just a callback and paying homage to what Cable used to be. But again, they know how to draw feet and hands. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really anything beyond
And
that.
my brother Mabane said Witchblade too. I forgot to mention him when I was talking about his credentials. I mean,
Yeah.
and that did get made to a live action. It was not exactly, the full weight and muscle of TNT behind that show, but it had a good actress, I think, and it had potential. It just never really
Yeah.
came through. It wasn't exactly the right home for it. I don't think you couldn't really do what Witchblade was with that type of atmosphere. I feel like another avenue could have been more successful. I would have loved to have seen Witchblade on HBO or something, or Max,
Yeah.
or a film, but it's a shame it wasn't more popular, and they could have had Darkness, mix in with that universe too. But I still say it's possible that one day we might see that. It's a great property. It would be.
Hmm.
I still think there's a lot of interest in seeing those IPs eventually brought to life too. I would love to see them try again with Witchblade or Darkness for sure.
Yeah. I think Witchblade, something like Witchblade would probably, well, again, it would do best on like a Netflix or something like that if they were to do it.
Yeah, it
Um,
has to be dark. It has to
yeah,
be
it definitely has to be
dark. Has
dark.
to be adult. I mean, it's supposed to be violent and sexy, and they really can't do either on TNT.
Yeah,
So
definitely they can't do it. Brennan, what's your take on Mark and his work? Definitely just like a lot of his like interesting runs on top of that. But again, like what was said, with him, artistry is still there, but like it's become like more of a broad strand business when it comes to him. What you think, bro?
Well, he's a guy that after he left X-Men, I kind of appreciated him from afar. He's not
Hmm.
one of the guys that I religiously followed and
Hmm.
and would really dive into.
Hmm.
But I mean, for one, he's the first man to draw Mr. Sinister.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
right there, you know, in his X-Men run with Chris Claremont, helping to bring Mr. Sinister to the page for the very first time. And then you look at that, I think I think you had it up earlier. I think it was Uncanny 251
Yeah,
with Wolverine crucified on the X.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he's definitely
iconic.
had some yeah, he's definitely had some iconic imagery that he's been responsible for. And those are the ones that honestly are from early in his career, but those are the ones that I think of most when I think of him. Um, when he joined the other guys in forming Image, his titles weren't ones that I like immediately gravitated toward, and
Yeah.
I went back and can appreciate Witchblade, and the Darkness
Hmm.
after the fact, but they weren't ones that I really read in the
Hmm.
moment.
Hmm.
So I didn't. It wasn't like following him throughout his whole career and really like loving everything he's done. I think he's phenomenal as an artist. I think it's kind of funny that he kind of has issues with Rob Liefeld. He leaves, and then shortly after Rob Liefeld leaves, Silvestri comes back. They butted heads, and now he's the CEO of Image today.
Yep.
And it's also just kind of funny because I always personally thought he was way better as an artist than Rob Liefeld was.
By far.
There are things that I can appreciate about Rob Liefeld, but in general, I'm not a huge fan of Rob Liefeld's his art. I think he's done things that other people have then taken and refined and fixed and done better after he's started off with them, just from my tastes. Especially, it's kind of funny because one of his most infamous comic book covers is known as Cap Tits. And I still to this day don't know how anybody could have looked at that and thought that was anatomically correct and thought that was like, but now he's homaging his own Cap Tits cover with a new one with Sam Wilson that is definitely toned down, like from the ridiculousness that was the original one, but it's also still Sam Wilson Cap Tits. It's still doing that. Just he thinks he's fixing it, and like, okay, now it's like, but no, it's still fucking ridiculous.
It's still over the top.
A little bit less than it was before. But that's Rob Liefeld, and where you always feel like Rob Liefeld's kind of ego is coming through in everything that he touches. You don't get that with Marc Silvestri. I just get the art. I just get the writing. And to be honest, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most from him has been the recent Black Label that he did, the Batman and Joker Deadly Duo.
Yeah.
I think he draws Gotham City like, I mean, one of the best that you'll see. Just the texture and the grittiness to Gotham. I also lean toward the black and gray Batman, but I love his blue and gray Batman. It's just phenomenal. And so that Black Label miniseries I really, really like. I actually have the deluxe hardcover, and it's gorgeous. And like I said, there's so much texture to his art. And I think obviously everybody evolves, but like his art from back on his X-Men run is like nothing compared to what he's capable of today. But he doesn't do as much today because of his role as, the head of Image. But yeah, I think he's phenomenal as an artist. Like I said, the way he draws in the early pages of this book, the way he draws Harley Quinn, I love. And I think that I would definitely like to see him do more stuff like this. Like I said, I like Witchblade. I like The Darkness, but they didn't have the same hold on me back then as when he was doing Uncanny X-Men or something like this. I do think that it spawned some pretty good. They did a couple PlayStation games for The Darkness, and you could see the art style in that, and like that was really impressive. For the time, because those were on, I think, the PS3. And so yeah, it would be cool if they did something like that in the near future, bring that to television or bring that to film. I have a feeling that that's kind of anything like that would be on the back burner while Todd McFarlane spends the next 30 years trying to make this Spawn movie actually happen.
It's never coming.
I'm kind of wondering at this point if he knows it's never going to happen, but he just keeps dragging it along and talking about it just so people keep talking about Spawn.
It'll never happen. No. I feel so bad for my friends who always are like, "Oh, he has new news." I'm like, he's had new news for 20 years. He would have to direct it, right, do everything, and no studio is going to give him $200 million to do that.
And it's only news. Like, news is just him talking on like social media or an interview. It's never a studio saying, "Yes, we're greenlit this, we're doing this." And to be perfectly honest, I've liked the visuals of Spawn. I never really thought Spawn hit a stride and was really great from a storytelling perspective, the way that so many other books are. It's just, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy it. It's just, and I like elements of Spawn, but it never just hit for me the way other characters have, as far as like a long sustained run. It's just always been visually really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so for me, if they never make a Spawn movie, it's not gonna, it's not gonna bother me. I'd probably be more interested in them trying to bring the Darkness to the big screen than Spawn, to be perfectly honest.
The animated TV show was phenomenal, and I feel like that's where they could just really do what they needed to
Keep
do.
it animated.
Keep it animated. Do a new animated film like how DC does their animated movies, where you can do whatever you want, but you're never going to get a studio.
And DC's putting those in the theaters now. So
so that's exactly what they should do. Yeah, do an animated film, figure out a deal to get you a good streaming contract or a theater special engagement thing, and do that, because no one's ever going to give you the money that you need to do it the way you want it, so you're never going to do it. So it's just getting old hearing him say, "Oh, new."
They also might
Spawn movie news coming at New York Comic Con, and then he just goes out there to say, like we got somebody to be the key grip when we make it. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, they might actually, maybe a studio would let him direct it or co-direct if it was an animated movie. Instead of a massive budget live action.
Yeah, because it's like right now they don't trust him. Like literally, studios don't trust the turnaround when it comes to Todd. And
that's why honestly I would be more interested in something like The Darkness and having Marc Silvestri, who has actually been a producer on movies in his career and video games, to bring something like The Darkness or Witchblade to the big screen, or at least a live action TV series on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that, rather than going on and on about Spawn.
Yeah. I mean, and again, especially with the content, like you said, like more horror aspect of The Darkness would make more sense, especially now in this time, in this era. I think that the opportunity is slowly slipping. One of the biggest things, because now don't get me wrong, like I said, I love Spawn. I've loved it since the inception, but I did see that there were always holes and cracks in the writing, because there weren't as it wasn't consistencies at all. It was inconsistent because writers would take it on and the story would change so drastically, and they would never really speak about it. It's just that all of a sudden he becomes this particular person, or in this particular book, it's not as cohesive. And that's
Spawn always felt like it should have been a finite series.
Yeah.
Even from inception, it had a counter to how much power he had, and then it was going to be gone. And they just kept moving the goalposts to keep it interesting. They kept changing the rules. And I always felt like if that had been, like Preacher or Invincible, like if that had been some 150 issue story, I felt like it could have been really special. But it just, became something that will get just dragged on and on forever, where they just keep coming up with crazy things, which it's
King
fine.
Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn and
it's great, but on some level it's absolutely just milking it.
And would it, like, honestly, if they were to do it now, would it really? I mean, they've had Jamie Foxx tied to this live action film for the longest time.
Yes.
Would it really still pull traction? Like, would it gain any traction cinematically? Would people really have more investment? I mean, especially when you have so many other things that are on the horizon. Would that even be a conversation? Would it be a film that you would? Because me personally, it's like I would rather it be animation than an actual live action film, because there's absolutely there's ways to do it, but I just think that they would drop the ball on it, and it wouldn't make sense.
I love Jamie Foxx, but like he's past that now. He's like,
also it's the reason why what would make or break this film is not the actor, who should be covered up or look grotesque anyways. It's not like Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds, where it has to be somebody really funny to carry it, so you still need a celebrity. You don't really even need a known actor to be Spawn. You need incredible imagery. That's really all you need, and a good story. No one's like hoping for a lot of great dramatic scenes with Jamie Foxx. Like that's not what people are coming for with Spawn. You got to have that emotion in some of the scenes, sure, but people want to see him, him as Spawn doing cool Spawn shit. And Todd has always thrown out random, like adjacent ideas, like, oh, I'm working on a script where it's going to be really focused on Sam and Twitch, and Spawn will be like in the background, and like he's at, it's like no one wants to see that either. What are you doing? Like they just
Yeah.
want what the the '90s movie was with a better budget and a little bit less campy. Because yeah, the books are campy, but you can't. I mean, you can't have John Leguizamo like doing dance numbers in this horror movie comic book film. That wasn't
No.
the answer.
Nah. And would the thing is, it's like would Jamie Foxx put in his contract like like he did with Electro? I want to see my face. I don't want to be a
Absolutely.
grotesque. You know what I mean? Like, would
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
be one of those?
Don't do Jamie. I'd rather Lakeith Stanfield, somebody like that, than
Lakeith?
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Nothing against Jamie Foxx. It's just that's
Yeah.
past. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's we're past that now.
Especially if you want longevity with the character and taking it into place, because I think somebody like Lakeith would give it more gravitas. You know what I mean? Because
I'd rather see Jamie go back and revisit Wanda from In Living Color.
Look, he had his run with Electro, bro.
Yeah, different Wanda, you know.
A different Wanda or something like that.
Yeah.
Just let that run. But nah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't see I don't see Jamie really tying himself to a franchise if it was a hit. So there's so many problems with that film. It's just like I feel bad for people who really think it's going to happen. It's never going to happen. We're never going to see a Spawn film.
If by some miracle it does, let's be honest, it's probably going to be a one and done. Like none of us have high expectations of a Spawn movie being great. Like it's one of those ones where you don't really have any expectations going in, and maybe it shocks the shit out of you, but like it probably won't.
That's the thing. You'll have you're going into it already with low expectations, not because you're doing it purposely, but it's just because it's just the way it is. Like we've seen the way it was done before.
It's not a massively strong IP to begin with. Like it has its moments, it has its strengths, but it's not a Batman or something like that, you know? It's just not.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It becomes more of a. The thing is, and like it was said, like would it become like more of a satire, or would they stick to the source material and make it what it's supposed to be? And I think that's where it's really gets tough. And with Todd, again, studios just don't trust him, bro. They don't trust him because he wanted to write and direct it. And they were like, wait, hold up. Like, what? Like,
he's backed off on the directing. He said he would he knows that they're not going to let him direct it and stuff. So, but yeah, I think he'd still want to write it.
He still wants to write it. Which hands-on writing, I mean, if that's basically your baby or character, but I think that also there should be someone co-writing it with him, and it shouldn't just be him.
Yeah.
But he can have a lot of his influences, pretty much on it, definitely. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyway. Marc, again, when we're talking about, such a prolific artist, again, like his work is legendary. Like you said, Brendan, his work evolves. It doesn't stay in one box. Like he's not like a one note type of person. It's like when he comes back and he does stuff, it's just like, he's doing it, but then he bounces off again because again, he can only do but so much, right now being the head of Image. But definitely the Deadly Duo is incredible. This is his artwork on this one is definitely super dope. So anybody out there, if you're a Marc Silvestri fan, you probably have his work and you didn't know. Again, incredible artist, legendary individual. And I think, again, with somebody like him at the helm, and even with Image, and I think he's even like there's talks of them trying to revamp in certain ways. But again, Darkness would be a dope IP if they can kind of push something like that. But yeah, super dope. Moving on. I kind of want to address this before we kind of get to the meat and everything else, man. But you brought up Vinny, what's going on with Spider-Man, bro? What's happening, bro?
Yeah, I was just I'm behind on reading it. I just wanted to bring up for those who might not know or fans of Jonathan Hickman, he will be taking on Ultimate Spider-Man, I believe, and I just wanted to also just talk about, test on, address, like throw out different opinions of what we might see him do with the character and what we might see him do with relationships. We've had a lot of in the industry, like a lot of people have been very critical of Marvel of late with what they're doing with Peter Parker and MJ, and a lot of people, especially older fans who have been kind of frustrated seeing Mary Jane just treated like somebody who was never meant to be with Peter, despite the fact that a lot of us grew up with that relationship intact, and and just what are our thoughts on what we think that Hickman might do to maybe change that or keep that or what, and see what everybody thinks, and what they feel like the typical quintessential uh, vision for Peter Parker is for everybody. Like, what do you like him with Gwen, him with Black Cat, and with Mary Jane, single? Peter as a teenager, feel more like used to Peter as an adult. Running park industries like there's a lot of obviously understatement changes to Spider-Man over the years. They've basically been doing everything that they can to try to keep it fresh and keep it interesting, and obviously not all of those ideas have hit home with everybody, and some of it's I think quantity. I mean, there's so many Spider-Man books, there's so many Spider-Man stories. I mean, at one point they were running like what 4 month plus. um and yeah, so there's some switch ups changing with Hickman jumping on into that too, and so Spider-Man always in news. So throwing out those questions, see what everybody thinks about it.
Well, it's crazy because like the Jonathan's recent Ultimates run in general, like it's one of those situations like it's, and I don't know how you feel about it, Brennan, but it hasn't really been a lot of discussion about it.
No,
because of everything.
Nobody knows what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, bro.
Like
it's weird because
we're coming up on the 4th of 4, and nobody really knows what the fuck the maker is doing. And like what is actually. I don't know. It's weird, but I was excited for this, and now I'm just kind of like confused by it. So I don't know what the fuck is happening. But it is supposed to spawn a new Ultimate Universe. Like that's what Marvel has said multiple times. Whatever this is doing, this Ultimate Invasion is supposed to create a new Ultimate Universe. And Spider-Man is, because in the last couple of months, Hickman had been saying he's about to take on a character that he swore he would never touch because he just didn't know how to connect with the character and how to do. So that does make me a little nervous, because it's like all of a sudden you just got an idea of how to, not like how to, like a good story, but like how to, he never knew how to connect with the character before.
One of the most connectable characters of all time.
So that, yeah, and I mean, from a writing perspective, I don't know, but that just gives me pause. We have no idea what, no, because it's not like he's taking over ASM. We have no idea what he's going to, we don't even know who is going to be the Ultimate Spider-Man in this new universe. Is it a version of Peter, a version of Miles? Is it a completely new character? We have no idea. I'm going into that. I'm looking forward to a new Ultimate Universe where other creators get involved too. As far as the Spider-Man part, I'm going in very cautiously, because I'm not going to have crazy high expectations, because I kind of did going into Ultimate Invasion, and right now I'm just kind of scratching my head like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Because it started out cool. Like, it really did start out pretty dope.
But then it got very Hickman.
Bro.
The things that, like, Hickman is great with certain stuff. I really dug what he did on Avengers, Secret Warrior, like stuff like that. I really dug. And there were parts of his X-Men that I liked, but there are a lot of parts of his X-Men that I did not like. The Cohen era that I'm just, thank God it's ending. And so
it ended so bad, bro.
And so that does make me. It's like nobody hits home runs all the time. There are things that I like about Hickman, and then the things that I don't. It just seems like that first issue was really good, And then after that, it's been the stuff that I get annoyed with Hickman when everything is convoluted and he's trying to be Shakespearean in the way these characters are talking about nothing. Like they're talking about something like it's this, cataclysmic thing, but nothing is actually happening. And it can be a little frustrating. So how this plays out, I honestly have no idea. I will say when it comes to Spider-Man and Peter Parker in general, and like Vinny had mentioned, it's been a rough several years in terms of fan and critical reaction to the storylines with Spider-Man, specifically ASM. Nick Spencer after Dan Slott, then Zeb Wells, and But I will say that the last 3 issues, the most recent 3 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, have been some of the best Spider-Man books that I've read in the last decade. And I think there have been parts of Zeb Wells' run that were kind of cool, and then there are other parts that I really feel like he dropped the ball on, like Dark Web. His whole treatment of Ben Reilly, I thought was just deplorable. I hated it. But these last 3 issues got super fucking dark and have been, like I said, 3 of the best Spider-Man books I have read in the last 10 years. And I am, for the first time in a long time, I'm like, holy shit, I can't wait for the next ASM. Like that's like, it's the first book that I'm going to read when it comes out, that, the next issue that week. It's going to be the first book that I grab, because I'm invested in the story that they're telling with these characters right now. It's fucking good. So I have no idea what Hickman's going to do. I'm very tentative about that, but at least there's something in ASM that I'm finally really, really vibing with.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. Like, so, and the thing is, it's like, it's interesting because, again, like, I always thought that the Ultimate Spider-Man run was dope as fuck. Like, it was literally an iteration of Spider-Man that we wanted to see in the main universe.
It outsold ASM for years.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean, for years, but it made sense.
And it didn't feel like it was a completely foreign thing. It felt like it could have been a 616 book, just askew. You know what I mean? It was a younger version, but it didn't feel like, oh, everything about this world is so foreign and so different. You got to get used to everything. You basically just it was just a younger Peter, and the villains were tweaked and different. But at its core, what was so amazing about it was that it was so well written, so well drawn, and it felt organic. It felt natural. It didn't feel like they were trying too hard. It just was really, really strong. It felt like lightning in a bottle, to be honest.
Yeah,
just lightning that lasted a really long time, because that was a hell of a run for Peter. Yeah. But then you get Miles, and then that was strong as fuck. Like it was. I mean, that was the crown jewel in the Ultimate Universe. Was absolutely Spider-Man. And Bendis just crushed it for the longest time, and Bagley with art, and it was great. That's
and they stayed on together like that. I mean, they literally set records for how long they worked together, and it's really frustrating considering. It's really frustrating considering how much of an anomaly even half that amount of time is anymore. You know, it's really tough to keep a team on the same book for a year, let alone, God, how long they were on it. They were on it for damn near a decade. So, so it's really impressive, and it just goes to show, like, what you can accomplish with, a team that actually, works together well, and, you have a strong writer, strong artist, and then you let them stay together to work on something big instead of just constantly new team, start all over again, over and over and over. And it just makes you wonder, like, why is it so difficult to get, 2 guys to work on a book for an extended period of time? It's just, you would think that it wouldn't be, there's directors, there's artists in Hollywood where time is, much more in demand, who commit to franchises and get stuck on projects for a long time, and they don't always like to do it. It's a big risk for them, but in comic books where it's such a more nowhere near as much spotlight, you would think that there would be more teams that can stick together for more than a year and puts together something special.
You know how many number one like restarts there would have been if that run was happening today?
Yep.
It would have been like every 20 issues, a new number one. And then
constantly.
And then
until it gets to 50, and then it's 50. And then back to number one.
Now we'll jump back to legacy numbers because we're about to get 600, and then after like 610, we're gonna go back to new number one. And Marvel does that. It drives me nuts. The Marvel and DC both have their idiosyncrasies. Marvel will do stuff like that, and then DC will do stuff like the most ridiculous mapping of events that you don't know where the hell you're supposed to go. Like I've actually been enjoying the Gotham War that they've been doing over at DC. But it jumps from so many things. Like you need Miss Cleo to fucking predict the future and figure out how you're supposed to read this shit because it goes nuts. But that circles back to why, with what, like Vinny said, it was like lightning in a bottle. What Bendis and Bagley were doing, and for such a sustained period, and that gave us an amazing version of Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe. But then that also gave us Miles Morales, who's an icon of comics now. I that's like the bar. So I just don't see Hickman clearing that. So I don't want that to be my expectation going in. I'm going to lower those expectations a lot, because if we expect a new Ultimate Spider-Man like Peter Parker was back then, and like Miles was after him, if we expect that this time around, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, because the odds of that happening again, especially when we have no fucking clue how this Ultimate Universe is actually shaping.
We have no idea where it's going. It's like the first couple of issues, it's like they're making the maker more complicated than the character really has to be. You know what I mean? Like it's, we already know who the character is, but it's just trying to find more ways to make him more unique than
you know what I really liked the maker in? I really liked him in Donny Cates's Venom run.
Yeah,
he was really good in the parts that he would pop up in that, but in this I'm like, it's kind of just an asshole.
Yeah, the entire time. That's all he's being, is an asshole. Like they're trying to make him. It's like, how much darker do you want to make an individual who already, clearly there's a path to wanting to always up his counterparts, and also to change certain things, manipulating the Ultimate Universe, but because he has his hands in it. Yeah, but it's just like there's no connectivity, bro. It's not as cohesive as I thought it was going to be. And my attention was supposed to be on this, but then it just switched to, the X-Men run currently right now. So
all he's doing is harassing a version of Howard Stark.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't, why? What does this have to do? I don't know. It's just, I think as far as like sustained events or crossovers or storylines, whatever you want to call them, I've been much more entertained by Fall of X than I have by Ultimate Invasion, and actually Night Terrors on the DC side and the Gotham War on the DC side. All of those I've been more invested in than Ultimate Invasion, and Ultimate Invasion was the one that I was the most invested in leading up to it. So it's completely shifted. So I'm not saying I'm not going to read it. I'm not saying that there isn't some level of excitement. Yeah. But the fact that it's played out this way, and that I'm much more invested in other things in Marvel and DC than I am with Ultimate Invasion. And the fact that, we had people like Bendis and Bagley who loved the character of Spider-Man versus Hickman, who's going to take it over, who was like, I never connected with the character. Yeah. It's hard to get excited. Part of me still is, but it's more that kind of like visceral, like knee-jerk reaction to, an Ultimate Spider-Man. But then it's Hickman, and I'm like, okay.
How's he going to write?
I don't know.
The other thing that the Ultimate series was supposed to be all about was accessibility for new readers to jump on and be like, man, I don't know what's been going on with Marvel for 10 years, let alone past 70 years. So let me just
Hickman is not accessible.
Let me buy this Power and Responsibility #1. Like, oh man, this is awesome. This is just really fucking straight and forward to the point. It's Spider-Man, like, roasting kingpins. Like, it's not, it's fun and it's exciting, but you don't have to like do a thesis to figure it out and understand it.
That's Hickman.
Yeah, Hickman is like the least accessible.
So that's not who you would just like obviously think of as like the go-to guy for a reboot accessible. I mean, like, that's a entirely
like
opposite.
I don't want to see Hickman write a story and in the middle of a story I just see a blank page with explanation as to why Spider-Man's suit is this color and why his webbing changed, and to go back into this arc and see this. I just want you to stick to what the character represents. I mean, but
oh god, I hope he doesn't do that with Ultimates. I hope it isn't like all the X books where it's like every fourth page is just a white page with like black text of just like
he's going to do it.
Logbook of it's like, oh please God, do not let that happen.
He's if anything is always Hickman trying to. He wants to. He's again. We already know
how smart he is.
Yeah, like we already know who you are, and we know your writing style.
Which is frustrating because hearing y'all talk about the X books, like I'm way behind on X books. So the last thing from Hickman I've read, of Hickman I read is when I binged through the Avengers books, and I was entrenched, engulfed. It was incredible, and then that jumped into Secret War, and that was phenomenal. And it never, I mean, it was intelligent. It was a little verbose at some points, but it never felt like Claremont with like super like exposition, or Alan Moore with like super exposition from like Watchmen, which is fine, but doesn't really fit in a big like popcorn book like Spider-Man or Avengers. Like those aren't supposed to be like buckle down, do your homework. And those books I enjoy, but like they work for some titles, not other. Like when you read like Spider-Man, your Batman, when you read your top IPs, like you don't really expect that. Now maybe X-Men a little bit more, because X-Men has always had kind of like that a little bit to it, but like not Spider-Man. You don't expect to see that there.
Dude, I was like 4 years behind on my X books, and I binged to try and catch up. I tore through them, and after that I was like, well, fuck, why did I do that? Honestly, my advice would be, wherever you are, just skip up to the Fall of X.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Go straight to the Fall of X, bro.
Honestly, like
it's more interesting.
Time there was something that was like, 10 of Swords. Even fucking, I was excited. I thought that this recent Sins of Sinister was going to be good, and it started off cool.
Yeah,
and then it just like it felt like it just took a shit on my lap. I was like,
I think it was
too much. They need Scarlet Witch to thin them out again. It's
Sins of Sinister was basically to cement his relationship with Orcus, or actually where he's at right now.
But Sins of Sinister, it all took place in these different parts of the future.
Exactly.
But literally, you don't have any of the characters that you love from it's all these just like, well, this is like a genetic mutation of these characters from 10,000 years in the future that doesn't look anything like, or talk anything like, or anything like anything you recognize. And I'm like, this whole thing that actually had a good concept, literally none of your favorite characters are in there. And there are all these new characters with all these complicated relationships, but like connections with one another, that you're like, you don't have enough time to form your own connection with them to be able to keep them apart from one another. So you don't know what the fuck is happening. It was a shit show. And it's like, I feel like a lot of the current writers in the X books have just taken the most confusing and confounding elements of Hickman and just amplified those. But now we're at least in the Fall of X. Like, I literally went through and binged like 4 or 5 years worth of X books. And after that, I was like, I enjoyed like 10-15% of that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it wasn't worth it. And I would have, if I could do it over again, I would just skip to the Fall of X.
And then go to Fall of X.
I would skip to the Hellfire Gala from this year.
Yeah.
And go from that point forward.
Because there's key aspects of Fall of X. If you want, I don't want to say if you want exposition, but if you want to know certain characters and their reasoning for doing certain things, you can find that. But to read that whole thing, bro, no, don't do it. I'm just saying,
honestly,
don't.
yeah, you could go on YouTube and you could get watch a 5 or 10 minute summary video that gives you the bullet points with Moira McTaggart and everything, and some other key characters.
I gotta admit, there was
that, and then
there was a time in my life when I was younger where if I was on a show, till that show was canceled, even if it got bad. It's just I'm a completist. I gotta just watch every season. Man, this isn't good anymore.
I felt the same way with it.
And I never thought I would have gave up on Walking Dead when it started falling off. But this version of me is just it'll be okay. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. You know what I mean? If it gets good again, somebody tries to get me back into it, maybe. But it'll be all right. And I'm the same way with comics. If I didn't read a book for 3, 5, even 10 years, it's all right, that's a couple months and I can catch back up. But now it's just I have them if I really want to go back. If there's something that's really interesting to me, I still get my pulls of books that I really enjoy. But there's years that have gone by and it's just now everybody's showing this whole time.
That's because
it's just
it's not worth
a few months.
It's not you could be oh, I fell off of Hulk, and then I'm going to go back and I'm just going to tear through Hulk, and I'll be caught up. Because the X books are so incestuous. They're all connected, and it's you'll be reading this one
really
book, and then you'll be reading X-Men, and then you realize that you missed something. And you're wait a minute. It's oh, I had to read these 3 issues from Marauders or X Factor to know what the fuck is going on in this. Yeah. But they didn't tell me that I needed to. Nah. I just all of a sudden hit a wall where I'm I don't know what the fuck. And because there's so many X books, and that's what it was, and that's why it's just
Excalibur,
it took so long
Marauders, New Mutants.
It's too much.
Children of the Atom,
so
Realm
many,
of X now with all these there's so much, and it's it drives me nuts.
I mean, we had Uncanny, and then Jim's X-Men book, and then X Factor, and that was it.
And that was it. Now
X-Force mixed in there, but that's you
but
there were 4
but you
books.
could completely skip X Factor and completely skip X-Force, which a lot of people did, and just juggle the X-Men books and Uncanny and the straight up title, and just be perfectly fine unless there was a big crossover story. And now it's just all right, you adding on 5 more books didn't make me it kills more than it helps. I mean, I'm sure they know I'm sure they feel like they know what they're doing, but it's just how many people stop reading books like Spider-Man or X-Men because I would have read it if it was one title, but now you expect me to get 5 of the same character every month. That's just too much.
Yeah. But there's also never not a crossover happening. Yeah. There's back in the day, it was okay, Executioner Song is happening. You do that, but then after that, the book split, and even that it was Executioner Song 1 through 12, right? And you knew exactly where you needed to go to get that story. Now you don't know where you need to be for these different stories. Yeah. And when you do, it's you have to stick with all of them if you want to know all these details. Whereas back in the day, it'd be okay, there's an event, boom, boom, whatever. And then you could fall off from X-Force, and then you could go back a year later and catch up on the X-Force books. They'd all be self-contained, within that title. You weren't missing out on information from other books. And then but if they would cross over at some point, you wouldn't be missing any information that you needed from the previous X-Force runs to be able to understand what they were doing with the X-Men in this crossover. Now, if you're not reading every one of these, Marvel makes it really hard to be a loyal X fan. They really do,
bro. And this is why I'm hoping that with the Fall of X, it ends everything that was convoluted about, House of X, Powers of X. I am enjoying, I will say that I am basically enjoying X-Men Red because Storm's a beast in that book.
So I loved X-Men Red for a while, and especially with Magneto and stuff, and then when he's off the book, but like what they did with him was amazing. But when it's focused on Storm and when she's being badass, it's great. But then I stopped like 3 or 4 issues ago. I think I fell off, so maybe I'll circle back. But
bro,
my problem with that is they're talking about it's when it's all these characters from Araco or whatever, and the thing is, it's like again, the focus is on and the 7 seats on the council, whatever for Araco, and it's like all of these like. I feel like they haven't created any of those new characters that are really all that compelling. Like Storm is great, but like, and that like Fisher King, whatever, he's like an interesting character. But all the others on the council and stuff, it's like they haven't created any interesting characters. So when they diverge from the rest of the X-Men characters that I love, and it's like 3 issues in a row that are all about like these characters that like I don't really know that well, and they're not really very compelling. I fell off it.
It's bro, right now it's getting good because the thing is like it's all out warfare, and it's like the Fisher King again is sort of like helping guide certain things because he's the most intelligent of the bunch there.
Yeah. And I know this is them bringing Apocalypse back in too, so like I know I got to circle back. But it's one of those ones where I have to force myself to. And I never used to feel that way about X-Men books. I never felt like I had to force myself to read it.
And the thing is, which is funny because which kind of moves me into this real quick as well, is the simple fact that, again, we're getting back to resurrection of Magneto in January, which I'm excited about because I think that's been the missing element of these books. But again, is that letting us know that Fall of X is going to be extended now for like another all the way until January? Was that the original plan?
Oh, bro? Yeah, Fall of X, because they have new they're probably gonna be like mini series, but there's like the fall of the House of X, and there's the rise of something else of X, but like and those all are starting in like January, February. This like the fall of X, as entertaining as a lot of it has been, I feel like they're going to drag out for too long because I think it's going until at least January, February. Well, that's starting in January. So you figure even if it's, let's say it's that and the fall of the powers of X or whatever, the fall of the House of X or something, you figure it's going to be at least 3 issues, if not more. So if it starts in January, you're looking at like this going until March.
It's just running.
We're only in September now.
Yeah, bro. It's literally running too much. Like it's going too much at this particular point. And which, I mean, I'm not mad at, but at the same time, it's just like, bro, it's like all we're seeing is this back and forth. We already know that the X-Men in peril right now. We already know that, Professor X is just, at the end of his ropes. We already know that Kitty Pryde is going on his straight ninja spree of killing everybody.
Cat, man, she is fucking tearing it up,
and that's what's holding the story together. That's the only thing that's really, really been for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everything that I'm reading so far has been exciting, but hers has been the most interesting. You know what I mean? Because it's her back to rare form. Now we actually have who is it? Nightcrawler, who's now become
that first issue of Uncanny Spider-Man.
Uncanny Spider-Man. Yeah, it was really good.
I was nervous about what they were trying to do with that, but then when they explain it, and I'm like, this is good. This makes sense. I dig this. The cameos and everything in it. Like, overall, it was really good. The most recent issue of Wolverine was really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of really good elements of Fall of X. That Jean Grey issue was really fucking good. I can't wait for the second one of that.
Yeah.
My concern though is with all this stuff going January, February, March is like I've been really enjoying a lot of the Fall of X stuff right now, but how long are they going to be able to sustain that? Are they going to be able to keep that quality going through? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, give me a whole fucking Shadowcat series. Like, she is so good in what they're doing with her right now. I'm on board with that. Wolverine, now that it's not just a back and forth with him and Beast nonstop. X-Force, now that they're focusing more on the story with Colossus and everything, like those are all firing on all cylinders. But are they going to be able to maintain that within this event through March?
Through March, bro.
I don't know.
Going from now up until January, and then basically from January to March, like that's a lot of content, and it continue to stretch out this story. Because all we're seeing now is just like, I mean, I guess it's their way of really completely deconstructing Krakoa. So,
blow that bitch up. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. But like, I mean,
let's move on
let's
from
just,
it. Like,
let's fucking, flip the switch. Let's blow the shit up. Let's not, we don't need to do this in slow motion. But I also wish, like, the way Magneto went out before, it was so fucking good, right?
Yeah.
I wish they didn't, like, they're telegraphing everything. Like, we knew that Kamala Khan was not going to stay dead for long, and she came back, and they announced that she came back, that she was coming back really before she actually fucking died.
Yeah.
But they actually handled that really well. And that first issue of her, the New Mutant, was great. Aman Vellani did a great job with that.
Yeah.
I really like what they're doing story-wise with her. But they told us that she was coming back in advance.
We knew that. Yeah.
I would have rathered Magneto fucking show up in the last pages of another Fall of X book to really like, oh fuck, he's back, and he does something crazy. Don't
instead of them letting us know he's coming back.
The book 3 months in advance.
Yeah.
Fucking shock me with that. Like, I want to flip the page and then be like, oh shit, he's back.
Yeah.
And like in a way that I didn't expect at a time.
If the plan was to bring him back, bring him in a way that we don't know.
Right. Instead of, they've already fucking announced it because they want pre-orders. But then they're sacrificing a really great storytelling element by announcing it in advance.
Because then there's like an expectation at that point. Because you're getting to that point. So now it's just like, okay, are we now going to see him in the Fall of X, which we know now he is going to be a part of the run.
Yeah.
But what is, I guess I'm just trying to figure out what's the purpose at this point. And because of the simple fact that like now the 5 are pretty much separated. The 5 are with Exodus right now.
Well, so, they need to be, because they got to get rid of the whole resurrection.
That whole resurrection thing. So how are they going to resurrect Magneto then? That's the interesting part.
Well, I mean, but see, here's the thing. They've never had problems bringing people back from the dead in comic books before, right?
Before the whole resurrection story.
Right. They never had a problem with that. But the 5 and the resurrection protocols on Krakoa, that actually made it more watered down. It made deaths not matter at all, because it's like, well, wait a minute. Before it was like a character might be dead for 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And then, most characters except like Gwen Stacy and Ben Parker will come back at some point, right? Even Jean Grey was dead for 10 years. She comes back at some point. But with the 5 and Krakoa and the resurrection protocols, it's like, well, literally they'll die and come back in the same issue. They'll die and come back on the next fucking page.
Just respawn.
So nothing had weight. Right? They nerfed their own resurrection. So that part, I was glad to just get rid of that shit. But at the same time, don't tell us that somebody is coming back.
Did you feel like, okay, so did you feel like Hickman was kind of making fun of the whole resurrection thing and bringing characters back in Marvel with this? Like he's just saying, fuck it.
I think he thought he was coming up with a better way of bringing people back. And here's the thing: if it was a short story arc, where they had the resurrection protocols, but then something catastrophic happened, they had to, and it's abandoned, it's destroyed, they lose that ability, whatever, then that could have been really cool, because then you're teasing, hey, all the people that we lost in, on Genosha, House of M, we can get these motherfuckers back.
Yeah.
And then you maybe bring one or two back, and then something happens, and you're about to bring all these characters back, and then the resurrection of technology and ability gets taken away. Maybe the 5 get killed, or some of them get killed or something. And it's like, you had it within your grasp, and we're about to get this great character back, and then they took it away from you. Add some like depth to that story, and some tragedy to it. Okay, cool. But they had it, and it was basically like they had a fucking line. They were just bringing people back.
Yeah, it's that's why I want them, because and the thing is, it's like, and Vinny, you'll probably, if you haven't already read it, it's like Hope. I think that even with the whole 5 resurrection thing, that they even not nerfed, but they've Hope has played a back seat, bro, because there hasn't been really. That's
all she's been doing is being part of the 5.
If that's what I'm saying, like if you're focusing on Hope, you're focusing on the 5. You're not focusing on. You're focusing on Hope as an individual. Now you sort of are with this whole, again with Exodus becoming like the Messiah, leading, and on top of that, there's friction between her and Exodus in a sense, because we know that Exodus' power is off of belief. People believe in him, and if they believe in him, he's more powerful that way. But also, basically, he's feeding off of the inspiration or the hope, or not the hope, but just the faith that people basically have in Hope. So he aligns himself with Hope as a believer, that if people see him believing in her, then they're going to also side with him. And she's like, yo, some of the things is he's literally leading people, in a sense, would be perceived as their death. But he's like, yo, if you have a whole bunch of people that are starving, that are hungry, they're angry at their set of circumstances, which makes them more powerful than what they are right now. And they become like really malicious not warriors, but they just have no type of whatever. I like what we're seeing right now, and also the banter between Hope and him. But I hope they continue that, and after the end of the story, it doesn't go back to that 5 shit. Get rid of that whole fucking 5 story, bro. Yeah. I don't like the resurrection. I hate it, bro. I fucking hate it. They need to get rid of that shit, bro. They need to move on from it. I'm hoping that they, like you said,
it's the story manifestation of what the problem is with Marvel, with them killing somebody, then bringing them back immediately and announcing it.
Yeah.
Like I said, like a perfect example, I understand they want to sell books, they want to sell pre-orders, they want to get people excited and stuff. But I would have preferred if story-wise there was something at like the end of a book where all of a sudden we see a new Spider-Man, and it's like in the new Ultimate Universe. So like something, it's like teased at the end of a book, and we had no idea. And then after that, like the next week, they're like, "This book is coming."
Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
it was like almost.
Wait a minute, what the fuck? And everybody's asking the question. But if you keep it vague, but it's like a tease that like really gets people. Next thing you know, social media blows up for like a week, going nuts, being like, "Wait, what does this mean? What the fuck are they happening?
Yeah.
What who's doing like?" And then they make the announcement. Coming in 3 months, this book is gonna be, it's gonna shake
exactly. And that's what made Hydra Cap, like when Cap took over Hydra, with that version of Cap, in my mind,
until you see him doing Hail Hydra, you're like,
I had no idea. I'm like, what the fuck? So when you see that, and then through the entire run, they had me convinced that Cap was really working for Hydra, but I was like, fuck, for real? You mean this entire time? Until you start seeing the other side of the story and where Cap is, and then you kind of get an inkling, well, is Cap coming back? You weren't really sure at that point.
People were pissed at that, but it kept them reading.
Yeah, bro.
They're like, what? No, this can't be fuck. And every issue, they fucking hate read that shit, and they're like waiting. But like, and then you started to realize what they were actually doing with the story, which I didn't think it was hidden that well. I was like, he's not fucking Hydra for real. Like I knew that wasn't gonna stick, but it was the way they
wrote it, and they kept writing it.
Worked, and they didn't telegraph it beforehand. And everything that Marvel is doing lately
is predictable.
They tell you 3 months in advance
that
they're doing it.
It's definitely predictable,
bro. It waters it down.
So, in a nutshell, Vinny, what we're saying is skip Krakoa and all that shit that's going on. It just goes straight to Fall of X, bro. I mean, you can get you can read little pieces of it and little hints and take away from it. But if you're trying to read the main story, but then you're trying to read Marauders, but then you're trying to read, Excalibur, if you're then trying to read New Mutants, the shit gets it, bro. I'm telling you, it's a head fuck, bro.
And stay the fuck away from Dark Web, the Hickman and Spider-Man one. That was fucking horrendous. Literally, man, you watch a YouTube video for 10 minutes, it'll catch you up on the Krakoan era right up until Fall of X, and then you start with the Hellfire Gala, and you just go there, and you'll be good. Because the Hellfire Gala surprised the shit out of everybody, because we're like, oh shit, this was a really good issue. Nobody expected it. We thought it was just going to be another bullshit one, because the Hellfire Gala has been kind of bullshit for the last couple of years. It was good.
This year,
it was good.
They went a route where everything they just read, and I think with, like you said, when you mentioned Dark Web, I think Dark Web was just mainly a setup for Madeline Pryor. That's all it was. It was
but not in a good way. They didn't set anything good up.
I know.
And you thought they were finally going to give some respect to Ben Reilly and to the Scarlet Spider, and instead they take away literally everything that you like about that character.
About Ben Reilly,
and then they make him a whiny bitch, and then they give him some stupid fucking costume, and they change his name, and then at the end of it, you're like, all right, so you basically just took away this character that I was really excited to actually get some respect. I don't fucking understand it at all.
He became the comic book version of what we saw across the Spider-Verse.
You thought they were about to do what previous Clone Sagas failed to do for both Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor. You're like, you know what, man? They're really going to give some respect to these two characters, and they're going to give them a spotlight, and it's going to be. And I fucking hated everything they did with both of those characters. It was so goddamn stupid.
Because you didn't really get an inkling. You didn't. Madeline. It was to kind of reintroduce Madeline Pryor for who she was, but you didn't really get an inkling of any of that until you saw her, and again, they had this whole thing with her and Jean Grey, how Jean Grey basically showed her level of respect. And then she becomes this person who is somewhat good. Like if you're looking at the Dark X-Men right now.
Dude, they had her put fucking Scott and Alex Summers in like a dungeon in their underwear.
Yeah.
That was like a whole fucking issue. No, it was doo-doo stew.
Yeah, it's again their choices in between there. So far, Fall of X has been incredible. Skywalker, he said, can't wait to see Goblin Queen in X-Men 97. Yeah, that's definitely, I can't wait till they release that. But so far, Fall of X, bro, it is worth reading. It is something that's definitely worth reading because it's really entertaining. It dwarfs everything that's going on with the Ultimates right now, bro. It really, really does, because I don't know what the fuck. And I will tell people also, read that first issue of, not to deviate from Marvel, but read the first issue of Wonder Woman, #1. Read that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's going to be so divisive.
Oh, bro.
I posted that. I was like, I enjoyed this. Well, oh my God, I can already see the social media wars over this fucking book already.
Bro, I love that book so much.
The art is really good in that.
Hell yeah, bro.
I have it. I just got to read it. I'll dig it out.
Bro, read it because
you'll know exactly why people are going to be so upset. You'll be like
going to be pissed.
You're also going to know exactly who is going to be pissed.
Yep.
Like it's immediately you read it, you're like, oh, these people are going to be fucking mad.
Yeah.
Like, right away, you know.
And the thing is, it's not. There's a reason behind it. I'd rather you read it, Vinny. When you read the book, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Read it, and we'll probably talk about it next Monday because I think it's worth reading. But again, like we've been saying, it literally, bro, motherfuckers is gonna be booty hurt, bro, butt hurt, and it's a really good book. But motherfuckers is gonna be really, really, really fucking butt hurt, bro. And I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Anyway, moving on real quick because I want to jump into this really quick as well before anything else because it's work. Okay, bro. Listen, all right. So we're going to go here real quick, right? So we're going to go here. Martin Scorsese again talking shit about Marvel, really making references, and it's like now he's trying to pull people on, like he's trying to channel certain directors to kind of follow suit. And the worst thing you can do basically is now try to get people, or to get people like Christopher Nolan to side with you, and then make him based on his content and what he's done with like, bro. Okay, so
because he didn't make one of the best fucking comic book movies.
That is why I wanted to talk about it, because otherwise it's just him saying the same shit. But the fact that he's like, you should be supporting real directors like Christopher Nolan. It's like, did you forget he also did comic book movies too? 3 of them,
one of the best, and one of the best, 3 of them, bro. That's what doesn't fucking make sense. That you, if anything, you would have chose someone else. But you chose,
you pick someone who's done comic book movies. That's your whole fucking thing. So if he's able to make, you know, and if he's at the caliber of a director that you want us to support instead of comic book directors, why would you pick one who's made comic book movies? It only supports our, you know, the other side that, you know, some of these might actually be good if you gave them a chance, since, you know, the director that you want us to go support is in that group, in that family. So maybe other people who and have made good movies who also just happen to be, you know, working on a comic book film. If Christopher Nolan, who's somebody who we should be going to see instead of these Marvel and DC guys,
like,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Why? I guess it doesn't. So okay, and the thing is, bro, and I say this as someone who cannot fucking wait to see Killers of the Flower Moon, bro. I cannot fucking wait to see that movie.
It's very frustrating because on not just a small level, but on a level, like, I completely understand what he's saying. Looking at it from the other side, from behind the camera, from in that business, it's probably very frustrating to walk into a pitch meeting knowing that if you're not coming in there with a comic book idea, you might not be as heard as someone who is.
So let me ask you a question.
Frustrating.
But okay, so let me ask y'all a question. Is he now going to target the toy market, considering the simple fact that Barbie was the biggest fucking film? Like $1 billion fucking film?
Well, he was with what he was saying, because he said comic book, he said superhero and franchise.
Wow.
And franchise counts even if it's only one movie. If it's part of like a toy franchise, a toy empire, stuff like that,
already big.
Super Mario. He's talking about video game. He's talking about all of it. And look, whatever. I mean, he's got his opinion. He's old school. He doesn't, you know, to him, he has a certain opinion about what really good cinema is, and that's just. I disagree with him. I think he's wrong. I think he's right in that you don't want everything to be like, well, it's only if like there were no other movies being made besides Marvel. If Marvel was it, like, okay, fine, yeah, you don't want that. But you know what? In the late 90s and early 2000s, everything was raunchy comedies, right? It was the American Pies, and it was Judd Apatow's movies.
Yeah.
And that didn't destroy it. The film industry is cyclical, right? And I don't think superhero movies are going to go away, but they'll at some point they'll slide back a little bit, and other stuff will come into, you know, the forefront more. It's just the way it is. It's just right now in the cycle, the most talked about stuff and the biggest box office goes to a genre that he doesn't have interest in making. And he doesn't have that many more years left on this earth. And so I think it's more imperative to him to get out there and say it. You know,
it's very weird.
It is what it is.
But why keep fucking attacking it, though?
But he's always made niche films that were never going to make $300, $400 million anyway, or $1 billion anyways. Like when Raging Bull was out, you know, it was Schwarzenegger action films and dominating the market then. He didn't have a problem with those. There's always, like, you know, like Brendan said, there's always something that's dominating the market. For a while it was westerns, for a while it was sci-fi films like Alien and, you know, stuff like Terminator. For a while it was, you know, action comedies. For a while it was buddy cop films. and then now we're in an era of comic book films. Like, there's always going to be something that gets all the big piece of the pie, and then there's always going to be crumbs left over for niche, avant-garde, artsy films like, The Irishman, or movies that he makes. This isn't someone who's, if it wasn't for Avengers and Batman, it's not like Scorsese films would be the ones making $1 billion.
He in the 90s, late 80s and 90s, he wasn't complaining about the too many Lethal Weapon movies. Stop making fucking Danny Glover and Mel and Joe
Lethal Weapon, Die Hard.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 2, Die Hard 2, Lethal Weapon 3, Die Hard 3. That's what was happening then.
The
problem
is
what happens.
The pie was cut up more evenly back then when, whereas now the pie is cut up very differently because you have individual movies that are coming out there and making like $1 billion. And so all the attention is on those.
Yeah.
And what happens is other movies either don't make shit because they're going up against those big tent poles, or they all avoid those dates because they don't want to get swallowed up by those.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's got a movie coming out, which it looks absolutely amazing.
Phenomenal. Yeah, bro.
But him being in the media talking about saving cinema and about the pitfalls of superhero movies and stuff, it's making people talk about him more, and that's just
drawing more attention to
the movie that he's got coming out, which I think would do pretty well anyway. But you got to remember, it's like his type of movie. All right, a lot of people are going to watch that movie, and a lot of people are going to go to see it in the theaters. But like we've talked about multiple times before, there are a lot of people who would be like, well, shit, this is going to be on Apple TV in a month.
Yeah,
I'll save that for watching at home because I want to see, a big spectacle like a Marvel movie on the big screen, and it costs me $100 to go to the fucking theater with my family. So I got to pick and choose. I'm going to do the one that I want to see on IMAX and this and that. And then this 3.5 hour movie that was made by Apple TV Plus, I'm going to fucking watch it on my Apple TV Plus at home.
Yeah.
And so you've got that dynamic. It's the confluence of events. It's that shorter window in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It's competition with $1 billion franchises and stuff like that. And he wants his movies to be seen on the big screen, and a lot of his movies are more, now going to be.
And they're 4 hours. Some of these fucking movies are 3.5 hour, 4 hour films, bro. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Like, look. If I can basically
I'm shocked that Oppenheimer made as much as it did, but
I mean, it's kind of. It also plays against his point too. I mean, everybody went out. I mean, that movie made $1 billion fucking dollars. Like, according to him, no one should have seen it because this wasn't, starring Spider-Man or Batman. I mean, people are going to see films that aren't, superheroes, just not enough. It's not as much as they used to, but they're not making as many of them as possible. I mean,
and the thing is, play to your strengths. I mean, listen, right now there was perfect opportunity, considering the simple fact that right now we see that, especially with the MCU, there's a lull. They're going back, refocusing on making really, really good content. So again, there's been time and space or an opportunity for him to just seize the market, or again, with Killers of the Flower Moon, yes, draw attention to that, talk about that particular film. Don't create more enemies who are going to divert themselves from seeing your shit, because half these motherfuckers do like entertainment, they like your film, but I've
never heard him complain about too many mob movies.
No, bro, fucking how many fucking mob movies are out there that he's directed?
It's like, come on, dude, like it's not that they're. It's just that they're successful right now, and they're in the cultural zeitgeist right now. This is what people are talking about, and they're not talking about the type of movie that you want to make. And that doesn't mean that yours isn't great and won't be successful, but realistically, if we were in right now, Marvel hasn't been firing on all cylinders, but like, put it this way, if Flowers, was it Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah.
Is it that or Flower of the Killer Moon? I can never fucking remember.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
I always fuck it up. But if his movie was coming out at the same time as Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame still making $1 billion.
Yeah.
His movie making a lot fucking less.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's because, and he was like, people want to be moved by what they go. People are moved or experience things in different ways. All right. People who grew up reading these characters in comics and then getting to see them come to life on the big screen in a way that they never thought they would ever get to see. That would ever see people. Before, bro. Yeah. People fucking teared up when Tony dies in Endgame, right? People fucking tear up when Black Widow,
when she passed away, bro.
Dive, right?
The impact that what was it? Not Endgame, but Infinity War had at the very end. Motherfuckers was balling, bro. And
we're
then now,
oh my god, they fucking lost.
Exactly.
That it impacts people. It just doesn't. That particular genre and that storytelling doesn't impact him. And so he has, I don't think he's a dick or anything. I think he can't relate to what a lot of other people are enjoying right now and is part of this cultural zeitgeist. And to him, it feels like the world is kind of passing him by and leaving him on the wayside. Not in terms of his ability. He still knows he's one of the best directors ever.
Yeah.
But people are paying more attention to these things that he doesn't want to create. Yeah. And so this is a way of kind of bringing the discussion back over to his side of the yard. And
there are hits this year that aren't franchise based, and yes, there could be more, but look, man, there can only be so many Cocaine Bears. There can only be so many classics like that, man.
Yeah.
You just gotta.
And to be quite honest, bro, right now, the horror franchise is a resurgence in horror films right now.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? He's not attacking that because it's a space. I mean, horror films have been around for ages, but there's a resurgence of it because there's stories and good stories. They're actually being told. But again, it's because of the big box office draw of a comic book film. And because the focus isn't on his shit, because again, to say something's repetitive but not look at your own fucking backyard, bro, that's hypocrisy, bro.
He was saying superhero movies and franchise movies too.
Yeah.
Guess what? You know what? He's never made a sequel to one of his movies, but you know what? One of the most successful things and the thing that reinvigorated the box office was a fucking sequel, a franchise movie, Top Gun, Maverick. All right. Makes over $1 billion, brought people back to the theaters that hadn't been back to the theaters in 3 years. Okay. And might not have ever gone back. Yeah. That movie brought, we're not complaining about Top Gun, right? It's if it weren't for movies like Top Gun, and if it weren't for some of these big tentpole movies that Marvel has been putting out, even with mixed reviews in terms of quality, they're bringing people into the theaters. If it weren't for Barbie, the people would not be in the fucking theaters, and the film, the cinema would be dead. So
this is true.
To me, it's stop. As much as I respect Martin Scorsese, I disagree with him here. He can have his own opinion, but to me, complaining about the very things that have actually kept the movie industry alive when they were on life support going into in COVID, why are we looking a gift horse in the mouth? Use that as a chance to keep
an opportunity,
theaters alive and make more movies that you want to make, and then just promote those and get people to go see them.
Because it's if you support Marvel, one, bro,
then there would be no theaters anymore. There just wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. And if you support one, there's an opportunity for that franchise or for that company to support your shit. But he's alienating himself by making the same fucking remarks. This is what, the third or fourth time he said shit? It's a constant thing. And right now you're saying it in a space where there's not one. Well, you do have the Marvels coming out, but that's not until when? November, I believe. November, December. Did they push that? November.
No, November.
And then you basically have what? Aquaman coming out in December? Right. So again, Killers of the Flower Moon has a chance right now to capitalize on this particular space. So enjoy that, bro. It's not like you're being challenged by any other fucking film right now. I can't wait to see the creators.
Honestly, I think me too. I can't wait to see that. Honestly, I think that one of the reasons why he chose to even make those comments right now is because he's got this phenomenal movie that's about to drop, and he can't have Leo promote it. And that's a big fucking problem for him.
That's a good point.
Just
that's a good fucking point.
Because that like
fucking point. Yep.
One half of the strikes seems to have been resolved, but you still have SAG that's on strike. And guess what? I would not be shocked if I mean, I think that they'll probably resolve it now before that. But if they didn't, I would not be shocked if they kind of went the opposite way of fucking Blue Beetle and just dumped Aquaman 2 on HBO or on Max, because
without promotions and stuff like that.
Look at how badly the box office has performed for their last several movies. All right, look at The Flash, fucking Tank, Shazam, all those. All right, without Jason Momoa and his charismatic nature and him going out there and promoting the fuck out of that movie, especially with all the bad press that's been around that movie, you think it's going to do very well in the box office?
As good as it could be. In that case, it's
like, you want to put the money into the marketing for it? Do you want to put millions into marketing when you don't even have your lead star to be out in front for it? And if they don't, by December, it's like, what the fuck do you do with that movie? Because you know it's not going to succeed, no matter what the quality is, although that's rumored to be bad, but like, it doesn't matter. It's like, if you don't have Jason Momoa out there, how much money do you think that movie's going to make?
And the thing is, with Scorsese, what he's been doing, or what his camp has basically been doing, is riding off of the response that he got from what was that, Cannes Film Festival, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's been basically there. They've been showing that. Like, all they've been doing is basically showing that footage. They've been, pushing that figure, like whether it's on social media and even basically the promotion of the film, they show that first. They always basically put that up as a promo ahead of the film, because again, they can't, like, unless, and hopefully it does, because when is this movie slated to come out?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's in like a couple weeks, I think.
Couple weeks now. But even if, like, say for instance, if it comes out in a couple weeks, say for instance, like next week, like the actor strike is resolved, they still can't really go out and promote for like another 2 or 3 weeks. Like, they can't.
Well,
at this particular
October
point.
20th.
They might. So they might be able to, because like even with the writers right now, it's basically like, okay, well, everything has to be ratified. That's going to take a little bit, but like, basically it's like, you guys can start kind of like staffing up your writers' rooms, and you guys can start doing stuff. It's just like, you're not going to get, like before, it was like if you're working on stuff or promoting stuff that was struck studio work, like you would be in big shit with the unions. Now it's like, okay, you guys can start get back to work. Don't go like nuts and yelling it at the on the mountaintops, but you guys can start getting back to work. And then, it'll all be, because it takes like, it'll be like another week or so before everything gets ratified and all that stuff. But like, they pretty much know that it's going to. So I don't think it would take that long after, they come to a tentative agreement with SAG
to get out and go out and allow, because that, I mean, even right now, like, because I was thinking about that, like when you go all over social media, for anything, even like with Ahsoka being out right now, not once has, any of the actors promoted anything that has to do with the actor.
That's what I think they would do. I think they would be on social media, on their account, on Instagram and stuff like that. They wouldn't necessarily be doing big press junkets and stuff like that and tours, promoting the movies in person and stuff like that. But they would be like, throw it up on their Instagram, like tonight's episode of Ahsoka, like stuff like that. They would start doing that. So, but again, when it comes to the, something like Aquaman, because nobody's expecting it to do well in the theaters because of what we've seen with The Flash and people just being over that. So low expectations combined with a lot of bad word of mouth, as far as the number of reshoots, which was astronomical, and people worried about the quality of this movie, and it's the last one. So to not have Jason Momoa out there
promoting
promote
it
it
without having pretty
is
much
a
the entire
big
cast
hit.
out there to promote. And the thing is, you have, because you with that film, even though I definitely want to see it, you have a lot. You have a lot riding against it. You know, the lack of being able to actually go out and promote the whole Amber Heard situation. You know, all of that is basically challenging this damn film, even though she's been completely silent. She ain't said shit. Like, you know, nothing that she's.
That whole situation is so funny because while maybe there's some truth to what James Wan was saying about this was supposed to be like the movie about the two brothers. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I get that. You can't tell me that the whole thing is like him being a father and having this kid, but then the mother, who was a big role in the first movie, is like literally in one shot in the trailer and nowhere else to be seen. And they're like,
You
oh,
think
well,
they're
she
gonna
was
kill
never
her
going to be
off?
a big part of this movie. Bullshit, she was never going to be a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest about why she's like nowhere to be seen. Let's
Do you
not
think
try
they
and
kill her off in this film?
I mean, they could, because it doesn't fucking matter. It's not like they're killing her off and then she can't be part of the franchise in the future, because this movie doesn't matter. That's the thing.
Mhm.
It can still be. I don't think it will be, at least for me, because I didn't like the first movie.
Yeah.
So you know, there will still be tons of people, I'm sure, who will enjoy this movie. I'm
Yeah.
still going to go see it because I'm hopeful that it's going to be good. But whether it's an amazing movie or a
Yeah.
shit movie, it doesn't matter as far as any type of continuity or world building
Yeah.
or anything goes. It matters in terms of if you go and have an enjoyable experience at the movie theater. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's no stakes for it in terms of the future content that we're going to get. So in that case, they could kill her or they could keep her alive, and it doesn't really matter because we're never going to see her as Mira again. Like,
Yeah.
we're just not.
Yeah.
Not
And
that we would if they kept the DCEU going, because they would want to get rid of her as an actor anyway. But like, and is anybody going to be upset if they kill her? I don't think so.
I don't, because like I said, they're making it, you know, definitely in the trailers, the focus was always it's been on, well, again, Vinny, you haven't seen it. And I'm not to leak anything out, but it's just been the focus on, you know, him, the brother, the family, or you know, basically it's been on that. And the thing is, to be quite honest, like there's potential. I'm just going in completely optimistic, but I'm going in with low expectations, but I definitely want to see it for, you know, what it is and what it actually be. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, without like spoilers or like specifics, because Vinny obviously hasn't watched it. Were you positive or negative or neutral on the trailer? Like,
me?
Yeah.
I was. Here's the thing, bro, because I watched it. What I had to do was I had to watch it a few times to really focus in on just certain key points, because it without really spoiling too much, it was kind of like how do I want to see it? Like,
I got Thor: Love and Thunder vibes. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was a lot of comedy. I
want to say it was hokey. Like, the things that I've seen with certain characters, not to kind of let it, you know, to whatever, certain things that I've seen with the characters, there was potential there, but it also depends on where they take the characters, and there's potential to make the story really dark. And I felt as though with the trailer, they should have leaned on the darker aspect of it,
especially with James Wan.
That's what I
just don't see James Wan doing, like, I mean, maybe they forced them to put a lot of the funny stuff in the trailer to
that's what I kind of think,
mass appeal, but I don't see James, like, even like I don't think James is capable of making like a big comedy. He's so great at the dark shit that I feel like they probably just cut up a bunch of funny shit into the trailer to kind of, you know, make it more mass appealing. But if you look at Aquaman, I mean, you look at that first one, and I mean, as much as Momoa is a goofy dude, there's not a lot of humor in it. It's pretty, it's relatively dark for a superhero film these days.
This trailer, I would say, was like 85% jokes.
Yeah,
I really like, and it honestly, it basically gave me, in that respect, Thor: Love and Thunder vibes, and then thematically with him and Orn, Thor: The Dark World vibes. Like it felt very.
But you know what, bro? You know what's crazy?
Very similar.
I like Thor: The Dark World. A lot of people didn't. I like that.
It wasn't great.
I'm not
hating on
I didn't
Thor:
like it
The Dark
at
World
first, but I came around on Dark World.
Yeah, I'm
like
not hating on that. I think there are a lot of elements to that movie that are
was
actually
dope.
really good. I'm just talking about like it felt very similar. Not
in
that
the
like
vibe, in the
whole Thor Loki.
You go back and watch Thor: Dark World now. It's like you're watching a snuff film.
Yeah.
Compared to Bad Love and Thunder it's like wow.
Exactly. But like the Arthur and Orm and Thor and Loki dynamic
shit compared
and their
to Love
journey and the buddy cop kind of thing almost.
Yeah.
It felt like they were taking that element from Thor: Love and Thunder, which is not, Thor: The Dark World, which is not exclusive to that. It's not like the buddy genre was invented by, the Thor movie or anything. Mm-hmm. But that and then the jokey kind of like, building a bridge thing, like it struck me as very, very funny. Not funny like I was actually laughing, but like overly trying to be comedic. And that combined, and I'm taking baggage into this because I didn't like the first one. And I felt like they took everything that I didn't like about the first one and everything I didn't like about Thor: Love and Thunder, and they put it into one trailer. And so I'm hoping that that's not representative of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because it also did not feel like, that trailer did not feel like a James Wan movie at all.
Which means it leads me to believe that they did cut and splice certain things together just to make it appealing as far as a trailer. And hopefully, because here, and the reason why I say that is this, because again, once you see the movie, Vinny, as you always do, go back and watch the trailer because there you'll see.
And a lot of times I'll see that too, where I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer because they packaged it to be something that it wasn't, hoping to get you in the door in a way that maybe if it was actually, representative of what it was, might not have had as big a turnout.
It was again, like watching it,
Hollywood, man.
Seen where there were dark tones that were there was potential for darker tones
if you knew what you're looking for.
Yeah, but I think that they basically like kind of kept that aspect of it. I guess they want to be secretive about that aspect of it, but you can see where it has the potential to really go dark. But again, that's what
they do with Aquaman though too. Like every time you got Aquaman and other shit, like in Justice League, he's always cracking jokes, and Flash, always funny. But like in the actual Aquaman movie, like it was a little lighthearted, but it wasn't, constant jokes like he was in the other film. So I think that's what they want to, bring you in to get as many people as possible. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I feel like it has the potential to be,
So with that being said, though, what do you think about the Marvels, bro?
It's probably the least excited I've ever been for a Marvel film, period. And I'm still going to go see it, but like, it's probably the first one where I was just like, I wish I could skip this one, but then I don't even want to wait the 45 days to see it out of morbid curiosity. I'm going into it like with very, very low expectations. Everything I've heard about it has been very, very frustrating to me because I was not a fan of the first one, yet I am a fan of Spectrum and Miss Marvel. I like them, but it's just, I don't know if they'll counterbalance how much I really wasn't a fan of what Carol Danvers brought to the role. And what I really don't like is the director trying to like get out ahead of it and be like, no, it wasn't my movie. It was all Kevin Feige's idea. Like, man, that's such weak sauce to me because obviously you're going into signing up for a Marvel film. What makes you think that you are going to direct it as if it's some independent film where you get to completely do whatever you want? If they don't have some kind of control over what they're doing on a big picture scale, you know what you get? You get the Star Wars sequels. You get Last Jedi, when you get to just do whatever you want, not worried about what the studio is trying to do. So to come out there and like throw Feige under the bus feels like, your movie might not be that good, and you don't want people to blame you. And that feels kind of like, because like if it was great, would you be saying, it was so great because Feige, gave me some great direction. Nah, you will only be saying that if you think it's trash.
Yeah.
So
I think yeah, go ahead.
And then before this, the statement she said before that was, no, I'd have to back this up because I'm not positive she said this, but I'm pretty sure it was the director who had said that what sets this superhero film apart is it's wacky and zany. And it's like, no, that would be that would be what makes you like all the rest of them for the most part. It's like that's like saying, oh, you know what's different about this Guardians of the Galaxy? Like Rocket sarcastic. And no, like what are you talking about? Many of them are supposed to be funny and zany. Like I don't know, Marvel has a MO for like the Marvel formula being too many fucking jokes. So
yeah, it's like kind of stay away from that. I mean, here's the thing: is like I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited for it. I think that what's going to hurt this again is the lack of promo and the simple fact that actors can't get out there and really promo as much as they would. Now the trailers they've been ramping up for it and stuff like that. Hopefully with the actor strike, it ends soon enough for them to get out there and probably get on a really, really hardcore push to actually do it. I don't know, but I'm here's the thing, bro. I'm excited about this film, and I'm excited about both films to get out there to kind of help inspire or reinvigorate or something like that. I'm optimistic, but I don't have a high expectation for it because the one thing I don't want them to do is the biggest thing I don't want them to do is ruin Miss Marvel for me. Don't ruin her for me. That's the only thing I don't. And Brendan, I don't know. You saw the trailers. Vinny didn't. I'm just going to go online by saying that I do not like that suit, bro. I don't.
Whose suit?
Miss Marvel's
new suit?
Miss Marvel.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it, bro. I don't, because it's like she hadn't even had a chance in her own suit yet. And then
but you never go in back-to-back movies without getting a new suit.
A new suit.
You gotta have new suits, so you got new action figures.
Yeah, he's 100%. You gotta have. That is true. We never even got we didn't even get a tease of like Hot Toys.
No, bro.
I'm sure there was like a Marvel Legends or something, but
yeah, we didn't get a fucking tease. But I mean, I just don't want them to oversaturate her character to the point where they kind of just make her don't make her a hated character. You know what I mean? Don't bring her in to make her hated. You know what I mean? Because again,
it's also a shorter movie, like runtime wise. Like
it's real
like
short,
bro. This isn't a crazy long one, and that's okay if the pacing is good. Then that shorter runtime, I'm totally fine. Not everything has to be 2.5, 3 hours. Like this movie, I don't think needs to be that long, so I'm fine with a shorter runtime. Me personally, I'm looking forward to this movie. I enjoyed the trailer. I thought the trailer looked good. I thought Brie Larson looked like she was having fun in this role.
She did.
Right?
Both of them, all
is
of them did.
Like they're all three of them. They look like they've got really good chemistry. Admittedly, I think this movie is not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
You're going to have plenty of people who aren't down to see a
girl power
cast set by led by 3 women, and then the guy is like playing the supporting role in Nick Fury. I'm perfectly fine with it. I think I've liked obviously I think I don't know, are they calling her Spectrum or Photon? I can't remember.
Photon.
They're calling
Photon?
her Photon.
Okay.
Yeah. The 3 of them, they in that trailer, they have some really good chemistry, and I'm looking forward to this way more than I am Aquaman. But again, I didn't hate the first Ms. Marvel movie, and I did not like the first Aquaman movie. So that sets me up for this exact situation of looking forward to this more than Aquaman. I don't think the first Ms. Marvel movie or the first Captain Marvel movie is by any means perfect. And I think that Brie Larson was a little stiff in it. I definitely liked parts of her performance, but there were other parts where it's like you wanted a little bit more energy, a little bit more, fun from her. And I've seen nothing but that in these trailers. So Yeah, I'm the last thing that I saw Ms. Marvel in, I loved. The last thing that I saw Photon in, I loved. The last thing that I saw, well, actually, Captain Marvel in was Endgame, which I loved. So that momentum carries me through, and I'm looking forward to this movie. I'm not expecting it to be like a 10 out of 10. I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but not everything has to be a 10 out of 10. And I think we have gotten into this mode where like it's pass fail, and if this ends up just being an entertaining movie that I go in and I can enjoy, and then it's like, okay, that's that.
I want both of them to succeed. I definitely want both of them to be at a level of success because, again, I mean, it's especially for Marvel right now, especially for DC right now. Again, it's the expectation is to have at least something that's going to kind of lure people in, at least to get them excited, especially coming off the strike, possibly. Excited for, what's to come if we get some announcements or whatever. Again, it's just to kind of wait and see.
If they resolve the SAG strike, then I think there'll be a lot of announcements that'll come right out, like very quickly. Like I would expect a lot of studios will make announcements about casting of things that were like in talks right before. I think they're going to try and finalize deals, and then others that were finalized that they hadn't announced yet. Like fingers crossed that they're going to announce Florence Pugh as Abby for season 2 of The Last of Us. That'd be fucking. I would love that casting. But they're going to be different things that that they'll start rolling out.
Didn't they say that they already have the cast member? They already cast their role.
They say that they already have
for it, but we'll see.
They say that they already they had already made the decision before. They just weren't able to finalize and announce, but that they have the choice made. And she was one of the people that was rumored that was offered it before the strike started. So we'll see. I love that casting, but who knows? They've knocked it out of the park on that show so far, so I'm not too worried about it. But I think things like that will get announced. Like I think whoever's playing Abby in season 2 will be one of the first big announcements that we get once the SAG strike is resolved, and then promotion will kick into high gear for things like this. And for
that day on the internet will be fucking insane.
It'll be absolute shit to the point where I think that some big ones people will try and hold back and wait like a week.
So that would be smart because it'll be fucking like flurry of fucking news. It'll be
you either want to be first or you want to be like 12th or 13th or something. Like give it a little bit of
hold it back, get all these other announcements out first. Get all these because they're going to talk about
like when they say that the first day when they came back and they told you 700 projects.
Yeah, like in the meantime
by 9 a.m.
Like DC, don't announce any new cast. You already announced a bunch before the strikes. Just focus on promotion if you're going to do it. Like, because the truth is, like you mentioned, you want both of these movies to succeed. Realistically, in my opinion, I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell for Aquaman succeeding. Right, but like as far as like financially, I don't think for the cost that they put into this movie and. Given and this isn't a knock on the character.
To be fair, they thought that with the first one.
Yeah,
but we're in a very different landscape now, and they haven't had a movie in the last 5 years that's passed 400 million at the box office. And this movie with the reshoots and everything, they're saying this one cost like 300 to make. So this one I don't see. But that's not the fault of the film itself. It may be great or it may be shit. I don't know. It's not the fault of it. It's just a situation that they're in where people have given up on the DCEU. And I think that was evident with The Flash. I think that was evident with Shazam 2 and Black Adam. I'm glad that Blue Beetle saw the little bit of success that it did and the critical acclaim that it did. And I think that was really good. But realistically, I just think that through no fault of its own, because we don't even know if the movie's any good, Aquaman is facing an uphill battle, right? It's like the expectations were really low for the first one, and it blew them out of the water, and that, no pun intended, and that's great. But I think they're facing odds that no movie should rightfully be assumed or expected to overcome.
And I think actually both films are facing odds financially because of
this one was expensive as shit too.
Hell yeah, like both films, again, that's facing odds for his own reasons. You're going to still have a whole bunch of butthurt individuals who don't like Brie Larson. They're going to still basically review bomb and attack this film for stupid fucking reasons because it happens. That's just basically the way it is. So again, both are facing an uphill battle, and I know Scorsese's looking at that and be like, "See, I told you so, man." Okay,
Marvel
whatever.
also,
this was a $270 million budget for Marvel.
That's the thing. It went up to somewhere like it was like between 220 and 270.
I can't. I mean,
Marvel fucked up there. They should never have lost.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. They set themselves up for failure, or at the very least, like you're struggling to break even. They never should have allowed the budget on this movie to balloon the way it did. And so now success is a very different metric now than it would have been if they had kept this in that like $150 million range or something. This should have been $100 million less than it was.
Absolutely. There's no reason why it should have an end game budget. It's ridiculous.
Especially when it's got like one of the shortest run times in the last like 8 years of the MCU. It's like, why is this one of the shortest movies? And admittedly, like arguably it has one of the smallest casts in terms of like star power. You don't have Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris.
Yeah. You don't have any $20-30 million contracts.
You don't have Scarlett Johansson and all that. You've got like the two biggest earners on here are Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. Realistically, how much of the budget do you think went to Iman Vellani or I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name that's playing Photon?
Yeah,
I don't think they commanded very big salaries. That's not a knock against their talent. It's just they're not established the way Brie Larson and Sam Jackson are. So how did this movie cost that fucking much?
Blazing Agent said if they announced a Johnny Depp Captain Jack cameo on Aquaman, it'd make money. It'd be a big what the fuck moment, but people want to see it.
Not gonna lie, that would be fucking brilliant. That would be fucking brilliant. I would totally.
And then the actor strike gets resolved, and Johnny goes like, "Well, we didn't want the movie to shit the bed," and then everyone just goes home happy, and just everybody has a good time. I don't see.
Funny.
I don't see either of these movies doing incredibly well because of the battles they have to face, but I feel like both have a chance to surprise. But at least Aquaman only is dealing with like a much more conservative budget for what it is, because just by nature, like you understand the special effects that's going to go into all the shit is underwater for the most part, but $200 million for Aquaman, but almost $3 for Marvel. That's pretty outrageous.
With all the reshoots and stuff, Aquaman is over $300 million.
Oh, that went higher than its initial two.
Yeah, because they had something. I think it was like 6 like reshoots, and like 1 or 2. You always expect that, but then they had like
a lot
4
of them
additional ones that are like and they went back and forth. They filmed multiple like cameos with like
and they took
Ben
them all
Affleck
out.
and Michael Keaton, and then they kept going back and forth on which one they were going to do, and like it's a whole shit show. But yeah, it went something like over $300 million.
Didn't they say they took out those cameos? The rumor is that they took out
but they shot like multiple versions of each because they kept going back and forth. Like, we're going to do Michael Keaton. No, we're going to do Ben Affleck. No, we're going to do Michael Keaton, but it's got to be different because of the Flash. Oh no, we're doing it's all kinds of foobar.
See,
that's why I'm like, how much are those impacting the main story? How much like the ending, like how many times have they gone back and forth based on like the Flash and whether they were coming out before or after the Flash, and like all that kind of stuff just makes me very skeptical.
Go ahead, Ben.
It's a mess because as much as a lot of people are off of the old regime and are looking for the new regime in charge still has to deal with the films that are still coming out, and it's just they're not doing them, much justice by dicking them around like this and not having any kind of plan of this transition into this new universe. Instead,
at least this is the last one.
It's just, I mean, to not have it's bad enough where you don't know what we don't know what they're gonna do going forward, but to not even know how to get out of what you were already doing, how much of that you want to take with you into the new shit, and how to just, I don't know. It's just like y'all couldn't just like sit down and fucking think it out before you did these films. I don't know. It's very frustrating. At least with the Marvels, it's like, that there's a somewhat of a plan there. And then even with that, a lot of these, we've talked about that many times. A lot of the Marvel films feel like they're in a transition, throw shit at the wall, see what sticks phase 2. So
the crazy thing is we're about, like, after Aquaman, we're gonna have like a 2.5-3 year gap of no DC movies. Like, well, you'll have like the Joker sequel, but like that, I don't count that among like,
And isn't that delayed right now as well because of the actual strike, or did they finish?
Well, I think they had finished filming that. They had finished filming
done.
that.
Yeah.
They're in post production on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know maybe if they would have any reshoots though, so that would be affected by the strikes if they did. But outside of that, there isn't, because I would be shocked if that Superman movie hits its targeted date, given the delays of everything.
You'll probably still have Phillips, not Phillips, but whatchamacallit, the Batman 2 before Superman will probably come out, right? I'm not sure when that's slated, but they're probably just now getting to work on it, but I imagine that will be finished before
so
Legacy.
You're looking, and if that's the case, that's still not a part of the new universe, though. So, like, the new universe. But so even if it is, we're not getting another Batman. We're not getting another DC movie in or out of continuity, but minus that Joker, for at least probably 2.5. And even
that Joker isn't continuity either. So we're gonna have two different, Elseworld comic book
before James Gunn gets his thing off the ground.
Legacy.
It's
a long time to expect people to be patient, man. It's a long time.
They're not going to have any
a lot of tweets between now and then.
And no Max content too, because it's not like the Green Lantern show and all that's like there's going to be nothing for DC in front of audiences for like 2 to 3 years as far as their new universe goes. Like, I think there's like an animated movie that will come out between now and then. And
that's what I was about to say. Like, their animation department, they got like a couple of films that are dropping.
Right, but that doesn't gain the same viewership that like we're talking about with box office.
Keep that name out there the same way. It might have been smart to have spread some of these films out a bit, and
that's why I was kind of surprised they didn't just delay Aquaman, so that it's like, okay, once we know we can have Jason Momoa out there building it up, and that gives us something else in the theaters. I believe me, I understand the rip the Band-Aid off and like get the DCEU done kind of thing. But realistically, DC Studios isn't going to have anything in front of audiences for like the next 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a big gap. That's
like a
long
glass kind
of not TV, not film, like
nothing.
Yeah, and especially considering CW universe is done. So
exactly, that's all.
So to like not have any representation out there is
DC Comics has to like do some really big stuff that gets headlines and attention in pop culture.
Hold up,
the next year or two to kind of keep things afloat, like as far as awareness.
They didn't cancel Superman and Lois Lane today. That's still going, right?
I think that's
no, they didn't cancel that one. That one is on Max, and that one is still but they haven't done anything for a new season because they will have that on the small screen, but that's not probably we're not gonna see anything from that for probably a year because they've got to write the season. Then they've got to start shooting it, and then they've got to get into post-production and get at least a certain amount ahead before they premiere it. So they've got to keep the DC brand relevant and in the cultural and the pop culture awareness. And so I think they're going to have to do some big stuff promoting the comics over the next couple of years, so that people don't kind of lose interest.
Did they cancel? Let me ask you a question. With Marvel, did they cancel D23? Is that still going on right now? Or is that still playing?
I have not heard. I have not heard anything about that one way or the other, and I don't think they're going to say anything until the actors' strike
ends. Yeah.
I
Which
think
that should have been what? September. That should have been this month, right? Wasn't D23 supposed to be around this month?
Usually, yeah, I think so. So yeah, they might
push it.
They might just not do it at all and just do it again next year. I don't know. It's everybody just all of those things just kind of left people's minds. They weren't thinking about it because it was
no 2023 D23 Expo, but there is a Destination D23 event in Orlando, September 8th to 10th. So it already happened, but smaller scale event that is much more focused on the theme parks and history. So basically, they're skipping this year.
Yeah, because if even whatever they did on the 8th to the 10th, like they didn't have any actors there. They never. It was all that would have just be theme park.
Yeah.
So they're not. Which I mean that sucks because there was some stuff that would come out of D23 that would be cool. It'd be a decent a decent event. Maybe get like a Hot Toy exclusive, something like that. But
it's just going to be like I said. I mean that's the thing that's expected. Especially with the writer's strike, the actor's strike, that there's going to be a lull in entertainment. Yes, we're going to get some productivity as far as these contracts. I mean, right now we know, at least from the writer's perspective, actors, that's a different ball game, but they're expecting like something like that to be the next thing that they discuss. So hopefully that gets resolved. But again, once all that's resolved, there's still going to be delays and lulls in type of entertainment when it comes across the board in general, but especially when it comes to like Marvel, DC, content, we're not going to see a lot of that Star Wars content as well suffering. It's
going to be like what happened with the last strike. There's going to be a shit ton of reality TV shows. They've already started promoting a ton of them. There's going to be a fuck ton of reality TV shows. And then streamers are also taking shows that were like streamer exclusives and then putting them on their networks. Like they're taking like, some of the Star Trek shows like Strange New Worlds, and they're putting them on weekly on CBS now. And like, so, Paramount and CBS have been doing that with it. Like SEAL Team is one that they're which started on CBS and then they moved to Paramount. And now because they don't have enough content for their ad buyers and stuff on CBS, now they're putting that show back on there. And then there's an NCIS like New Zealand or NCIS Australia or something that somehow the acting there, like it skirts the strikes and SAG and WGA. And so they're like taking an NCIS Australia and putting it on CBS in America now. And so they're like going wherever they can find content and throwing it on until they, can get back up and running.
We'll probably get some foreign hits. Like there will still be like several Squid Game type hits over the next year or two.
Well, they announced the trailer or the teaser for Squid Game Challenge or something like that.
Yeah, Squid Games, but without the death. So it's just kids games.
Who the fuck is that? That's the one that Joe's in, right? Well,
I think his was a different show.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
okay.
They're gonna have like bake-off shows and all kinds of
fucking bachelor shows. They already got
all that shit in spades.
Just announced that.
Like, I just saw a fucking thing that popped up on my screen for the Bachelor, the Golden Bachelor. So it's like a dude in like his 60s.
Yeah.
And then like there are all these women that are also in their 60s, but have had so much surgery that they're trying to look like they're in their 40s or 30s, but it's not going well. Yeah, and that's the thing. All of this shit is going to be. You're not wrong.
It was keeping the brand alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, John Cena went back
as well.
Yeah, because WWE is isn't in the Writers Guild, so they're able to keep doing new shit. They're not part of the guild.
Yeah.
People have been waiting for Batista to show up.
Yeah.
Like it's been fucking, it's like everybody, go back and you get that. Like The Rock went out there and it was just like, all right, hey, get back in front of crowds, in front of fans,
to keep that relevance and to make that money, that bread
there.
on the side,
make some money, and also just get out and do something, so you don't just
else.
go crazy just sitting at home. Like,
yep,
so it's not surprising.
Somebody asked, I was watching like somebody's show like last week. Somebody stupid ass online said, "Yo, does the WGA strike affect the porn industry?"
That's some shameful shit right there.
Oh man, you know what?
Bro, I looked at this shit, and the thing is, I laughed my ass off, but then I was stupid as fuck because I had to think about this shit. Was like, yo, what the fuck? Does it? Like it does? Does it?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you
the
right
writing
now,
just hasn't been the same. These plots are getting kind of dull.
Yeah,
like,
you do not need a fucking union card to write porn. Okay, that's not a thing. It's never been a thing. Okay, that just,
bro. But it's the simple fact when you say shit like that, and then to make a person think about it, like, yo, does that shit?
The adult film industry definitely has suffered the past year. I mean, that's why I watch it, for the plot.
Look, let's all be honest. I don't care if you're a big comic fan or not. All right, you are not watching Batman and the Joker double stuff Harley Quinn, and you're listening to the fucking dialogue.
Speak for yourself, man.
So let's not pretend that that's.
I need to know what happens. You get that post nut clarity, and then you just sitting there eating popcorn. Like, well, do they? Who did kill Bruce Wayne's parents? I need to know who does it in their universe. Is it, Joe Thrill?
No,
bro, come on.
Is it the Fiddler?
Bro,
it was Scarecock.
Is it the poker?
Scarecock.
Or
Scarecock.
You got to know if the poker gets away.
Bro, fuck. You know what? Anyway, everybody out there, the WGA has come to an agreement, yet they can't make an announcement about, I guess, not neither to tomorrow or the next few days, because again, they said that the contracts.
It'll take a little bit. It'll take a little bit because they have to send. So they have to send their the agreement terms to both the WGA East and West.
Yeah.
Because they're actually separate bodies, and then they have to say, okay, yeah, we approve, and then they have to send it out to all the 10, 12,000 writers throughout the country. But they just have to get a majority. It's 51% or whatever. They just have to get a majority. They don't have to get 80% sign on. So it'll probably be a week or so, but
before they can actually openly say anything about it, whatever. Because
everybody's saying there's a few writers I follow on Instagram who've been keeping up to date with it, and they're just it's basically just the legwork now, getting the paperwork done, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, but everybody's basically in we're about to get back to work mode.
They agreed to it, but they're not allowed to return until that contract is signed.
Right. Yeah. They're told okay, time to get ready. So whatever you were doing, wrap it up, start getting ready to get back to work. And then hopefully this puts pressure on them to get the the actors back to work too.
No, they'll start working on stuff. It just won't be overly publicized until it's okay, signed. Now, we're back to work.
Yeah. Now, do you think that with the Actors Guild, do you think that's going to be a harder process to kind of fix?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because they even I feel the studios even said hey, if we don't get a deal wrapped up in the next couple of days with you guys, we're gonna walk away and we're gonna focus on the agreement with SAG. I think they've got the base work for the agreement in place now, because the thing is, the WGA and SAG had a lot of the same kind of concerns.
Grievances, AI, stuff like that.
I think they're a lot closer than they were before now, and so it's not the exact same, but I feel like this, I feel like probably in the next week or two, we'll hear that they are close to an agreement with SAG. I don't think it's going to take that long, but that's still going to butt up against very limited time to promote key things like Killers of the Flower Moon, like the Marvels. So it definitely is still going to have an impact.
Considering that we're already going back into we're almost in October right now. Marvels comes out when? What's the date?
I think it's like November 5th.
Yeah, nah. I don't see much. Like, even if they try to speed up the process, I definitely don't see much.
And shows have been there have been shows that have been canceled that they've announced even today. It's like, no, the writers can get back to work and stuff, but like we're already there are some shows that they're just like, well, we're giving up on this. We're moving on. Like, we're not, because holding up.
What recently got canceled, bro? Something.
Stephen Amell's wrestling show on Stars, Heels, that just got canceled today.
That got canceled. There was a couple of other shows that got canceled too. That was somewhat of a surprise.
And then there were ones that was on like Disney that they decided that was already like the Spiderwick Chronicles that was already shot. And they just decided we're just gonna not even bother with it. So they're trying to the studio that did that one is trying to shop it around to other places. But that was the danger. It wasn't just stuff that would get delayed. It would be some projects that studios would be like, all right, well, now we've got to, we got to get back to work and we've got to get X, Y, and Z. These are our priorities. So this thing that maybe we would have kept going before, we can't afford to waste any time or money on that now. We got to focus on other shit. So that's gone.
That's what it was. Fucking Winning Time got canceled. I was pissed,
on Max,
bro.
Yeah.
Yep. I was so fucking pissed. That show was so good, bro. It was
critically acclaimed too. That one did surprise me because I didn't
bro.
think the budget was super high on it, and it was so well received. So that one, that one getting shit canned surprised me.
I'll be late on so much stuff, and the upside is should be getting canceled, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, no point getting into that. It got canceled after one season.
Yeah,
you know what everybody's doing right now is they're going back and they're binging old shows. Yeah. And I've actually been doing it a little bit too, but it's funny. I've been going back and rewatching a show that I actually loved back in the day that is now like the biggest show on any streaming platform right now. It's fucking Suits.
And aren't they basically ramping that up again, bro?
Well, no. So they were like,
or is there a spinoff?
People were like, people were like, there was a lot of buzz being generated because the show was all of a sudden the biggest on streaming. That then people were asking the creators, hey, like, is there? And they're like, well, before the strikes, there was never any talk about like a revival of the show, but now maybe when the strikes are over, who knows?
Yeah,
because
I watched the first few episodes. It was pretty good, and then I got distracted because I got into Billions. Billions is fire,
dude. Yeah. Billions. If
I'm only on season 3, like midway through, so don't tell me anymore.
But you've already seen. If you don't watch the first scene of the first episode with Paul Giamatti on the floor, if you don't watch that first scene and you're like, fucking A, yeah, let's go.
I'm in.
Then I can't do anything for you because it's so fucking amazing.
It's a great pilot. I always love a pilot that's like, well, you're going to, if you don't like this, then just don't watch it.
Right, you know exactly what you're getting in that pilot, and if you dig the pilot, you're in for a ride. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
And the crux of the show is the writing and how they talk and like in Aaron Sorkin type style. So like, you don't have to like wait a couple seasons till something cool happens, like a Game of Thrones type of show, to like know if you're gonna like it or not. It's like, no, you either like the show or you don't. So I highly recommend Billions for anybody who's like.
And so you're only on season.
I'm only on season 3. We've been like loving.
I don't know
every day. We're like, how many can we get in? Because it's so fucking good.
I don't know a single person who has watched it and not liked it. Not one person.
And that's the only reason why I didn't watch more Suits, because I heard good things about both. And then I was, what's the fucked up part? I was just like, I'll just flip back and forth, and I'll have something to watch when separate, that we're not watching together. And then she got into that too. And I'm like, all right, how many can we watch? Every day we try to watch at least one or two of them. And we've been so busy, and now we're like kind of out of like a bunch of shit we had to do the past couple weekends. We're like,
the problem is because it gets so good that like if you're watching two different things, but then you watch one and you're like, I gotta watch the next episode of Billions. I gotta watch the next, and then you watch 8 in a row of Billions and Suits or something, whatever else gets put on the back burner.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll get back to you, Suits. Billions is too good to like.
Billions is also shorter because it Suits had 8 seasons.
Yeah.
So Billions is like you catch up on that. They're also shorter seasons, and then you can.
It's just like, really fucking good.
The cast, Suits, I fucking love. I love the musical style to that show. The cast was great. You got Gina Torres from like Firefly and Serenity and everything, and like she's so good. That show is so fucking good that it doesn't surprise me that it's like blowing up on streaming. Like that makes perfect sense. But I had watched it when it was. You have fucking you got Bunk from The Wire that's on it for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. So that's definitely
is dope, bro. Fucking this, but Billions is Paul Giamatti's finest, bro.
He's my favorite on the show because it's so great. Because I think one of the coolest things about it is he's not what your typical leading man looks like, but he's fired. Like they don't. Yeah. He's just so smart and intelligent, and it's just fucking dope. And it's just this brilliant cat and mouse game. It's just incredibly well written and brilliant, and every week, every single episode is just like more and more intense. Just such great writing, and so it's fire. I love it.
The thing that I like about that show is there really aren't any good people. Like everyone is fucked up in some way.
Everyone is flawed and fucked.
Everybody has an agenda, bro.
There's no clearly like good guy on.
And see, this is unpopular opinion.
Paul Giamatti's character,
unpopular opinion.
Absolutely.
Exactly. An unpopular opinion, because I know there's a whole bunch of Succession fans out there.
Agree. Yep. Billions captured me more.
Billions had me basically more, bro, because I think this last season of Succession, again, it just kind of, for me, in my opinion, it dipped because it got more softer because of the dad's death. And they were focusing mainly on that and who's going to succeed that. Whereas Billions, it's like, bro, the most entertaining factor of Billions is that you really don't like anybody, but they're so appealing. It's just like, yo, I love to hate this person, but this person makes sense.
You know what it is? It's like so many of the characters you don't like, but you respect how fucking devious they are in this plan, and you're like, oh, I want to see this plan work because this is so balls out crazy that I want to see him fucking pull it off. And you're rooting for the guy that 2 episodes before you wanted to fucking go down. And you're like, wait a minute. I'm like, and it reminds me of The Shield back in the day with Michael Chiklis. Where with Michael Chiklis, it's like, you think, all right, this is the main character. This is the guy I'm supposed to be rooting for. And you're watching that first episode, and you're like, he's kind of fucked up. And then he shoots the undercover cop that's the good guy at the end of the first episode. And you're like, oh, he gotta fucking go. And you think, but then they slowly keep getting you to root for him, and then it's like Justified. Man, Boyd,
and that's the strength of the show. Perspective.
Yeah,
because like any given character in the show that you're sitting there like happy that they just did something cool, like deep down, like had they shot this a different way, you'd be like, that's a fucking villain, like fuck that guy. But because they're telling it through his eyes, you're rooting for him.
You go back and forth on Billions. 1 minute you're rooting for Chuck, and then the next minute you're rooting for Axe. And you just keep going back and forth, and and I fucking love it. It's so good.
It's really also amazing.
They early on in the show, they had the dude who played Wesley on Daredevil, right? And he was the supporting cast. The
supporting cast is really,
Paul Giamatti's father on the the show is such a prick. Like they're just so many great characters, that are just captivating, well-written characters.
Yeah, bro.
That you gotta fucking
and literally everybody who works for Axe is just fucking interesting as hell. It's just like everything. Everybody who works there is just like you could do like a damn near whole episode about anyone.
Bro, the shit that Paul Giamatti pulls off and how convincing he is to even other people on the fucking show. I'm looking at motherfuckers like, y'all don't see this shit.
Yeah.
It's like
my favorite shit when he did that chess monologue. I'm like, yes, this motherfucker is constantly playing chess. Y'all playing, tic-tac-toe. You're not even playing checkers.
No.
He's fucking so far ahead of you.
He's always a step ahead, but I'm like, he's a step ahead. But the thing is, it's the fucked up part of it is what seems to be obvious to the viewer.
Yeah.
What seems to be obvious to you, these motherfuckers aren't seeing, and you're like, yo, look, like, do you understand what he's doing to you psychologically? And nobody sees the shit. And I'm
who I love on Billions though is Mafee. Dan Soder he's a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And his comedy is so good. And then when you watch him on that show, you're like, wait, what the fuck? But he's like a total stoner in real life. And the shit that he does, like as Mafee, man, it is so fucking good. And he's just in bit moments, but it works.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. I love it.
Bro, wait till you get past season 3.
It's so
it's super addictive. I mean, it's fire. We'll
talk more about it. This has got to be the end. This has got to be like the checkmate, right? And then whoever like wins at the end of the one season flips it on him, and at the beginning of the next, you're like, oh shit, now this guy's on his back.
You know what I equate this shit to, and it's weird because they're two different shows, but it's the feeling that I got from that show that kind of matches this one. Sons of Anarchy, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sons of Anarchy. I always laughed when I watched Sons of Anarchy because it was like playing Grand Theft Auto. Like there was side mission after side mission, and every single thing that they did was crazier than the last. And it was like, yo, how much more over the top can it get? Like they're always on some fucking insane, fucking scheme. And that's what and that's what goes on with them. Like every single week, episode is like a crazier scheme,
bro. But it was like when I look at Paul Giamatti, it's sort of like I kind of compare him to Clay, and how Clay was like is like really methodical. Even though you knew is like, yo, he was a complete dick of a dude to certain things, certain aspects of it. It was
what makes it so good though, because
bro.
The schemes sometimes are like so over. It's like, come on, but the actors drive that shit home so much. It's like it doesn't even matter what their ploy is or what the game is. It doesn't even matter.
Paul Giamatti is so fearless. Like he humiliates himself in so many scenes in that show.
Right. Just the acting on the show is like it doesn't even matter kind of like what the plot is. It's just I just love the dialogue, the acting. It's amazing.
Chick from Billions was Tara on, wasn't she? Tara in what was it?
She was on 24.
Yeah, she was on 24 as well.
Yep.
And
which one on Billions?
What's her name?
Wendy. Wendy.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about Malin Ackerman, the blonde who played Axe's wife early on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
No. Bro. It's so fucking good, bro.
I'll touch back in when we're like caught up. Like
I'm gonna have to go back. So, but that's the thing is like now that we're talking about it, I'm going back and binge that shit this fucking week, good. Bro. Because again, and you notice when you go back and binge shit, you start to and I'm pretty sure you're probably getting that right now when you're watching Suits. You're starting to pick up shit like, oh fuck, I missed that. I
love doing that because also the show is old enough too that you go back and you watch it, and it's like when you go back and you watch like episodes from like the 90s or something of fucking like ER or Law and Order, and you're like, oh shit, that actor got his start on it, like the little like guest star, and you're like, wait a minute, that's a big fucking actor now, and they were in this like bit role on Suits or whatever. So it's like, but honestly, we're all gonna be doing a lot of this shit.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a while before we get new TV and movie content. So, it's like, we got a couple that were already in the pipeline, like Loki coming up and stuff like that. But Ahsoka's almost over, right? Like and then it's going to be like Suits and Billions and and shit.
And they're anticipating that shit, bro. They're really anticipating that shit because they know, again, that's the ramp up for a lot of these streaming services. Okay, you don't have this content, but this content we know you enjoy. it's going to ramp up that aspect of it, even though I'm kind of pissed because my Disney Plus went up to $13.99. But regardless, they are anticipating you going through and binging shit that like, again, that you wouldn't typically watch if you had like shows that were televised right now.
Yeah.
Or being
people are going to go back and binge 14 seasons of Supernatural. People are going to go back and you know what? Like, I actually watched the pilot episode again today, and I'm probably going to jump back into Fringe, right? From Fringe, from J.J. Abrams back on Fox back in the day. I fucking loved it. I'm looking at all these nostalgic shows that I used to watch back in the day, like Chuck with Zach Levi and stuff. I'll be like, I'll probably fucking jump back into that. Like, that's what it's going to be, because we don't have a lot of new shit coming anytime soon.
I wanted to go back because the thing is, I even have like the first few seasons of Heroes that I would actually love to go back and watch just now. Watch and see, not the last season. That don't exist. We don't talk about that shit.
I think I would only do the first season, maybe the second season.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's like knowing what's coming. I definitely couldn't go past season 2.
Yeah, season 2 I definitely wouldn't go past, but I can actually watch season 1 and 2. I ain't whatever happens beyond that, because, and again, a case in point, that was around the first writer strike at that time. Around that,
maybe the first several seasons of Lost.
Yeah,
shit like that.
But shit like that. But
at least we get new comics every Wednesday.
This is true.
Yeah, there's no comic book writer strike. Thank God.
Thank God, bro. Thank fucking God. Because if that was the case, I mean, you can go back and
to be fair, comic book writers could get paid much better than they do. But
yeah, this is true. This is true. Which I'm wondering if them looking at the success of writers, if they would even consider doing some bullshit like that, bro. I hope not. And I hope that, again, before something like that can happen, that they are paid more than what they're getting paid right now and being treated fairly, bro. Because that's the last thing I actually want to see, bro, is writers, comic writers going on strike.
Well, the comic book industry wouldn't survive it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, if they just stop putting out books,
that's it.
Those companies, those companies would fold. There's no way that they would be able to survive long enough. Like, we're at 146 days for the WGA strike right now.
Yeah,
comic book industry would not survive that.
Hell no, they probably wouldn't survive the first 60 days.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't have enough money
to sustain
to stay afloat. They just wouldn't.
Definitely,
would not. It wouldn't happen.
S-Beam, it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what I've been doing as well.
I've been getting back into some WWE too. Like, I've been actually watching some more of the current Raw and SmackDown, like Cody Rhodes back in and stuff like that. But their content, if you're on Peacock, one, it's not pay-per-views anymore. You get you get them all for free as part of Peacock anyway.
Peacock
so WrestleMania, SummerSlam, all those. But
go back and watch this shit.
All the documentary stuff that they have, all the content looking at the Attitude Era and looking at everything, all the behind the scenes stuff that they have, man. My wife and I, because my wife is also a big wrestling fan, and there's this, I think it's on A&E or something, but there's Dark Side of the Ring kind of thing. Yeah. She's obsessed with that. She'll watch old shit about Jake the Snake Roberts and all crazy shit. But I've been watching more of that too, and then started watching some stuff on YouTube, and now my YouTube suggested videos are all
always popping up
era, shit wrestling and the 10 biggest receipts that wrestlers gave to others, or times when wrestlers broke character because they were laughing too hard, and now my YouTube feed is filled with wrestling stuff from the 90s.
Lot of shit that's kind of wrestling,
dude, it's
oriented.
Funny.
And that's the thing, is again, it's going to reinvigorate those things, people going back and watching stuff because of the strike. So I don't know. I'm just glad that finally there's some type of an agreement that's being made. We don't have to worry about this shit for too long. It's just that now that the agreement's there, the hard part is getting past these next couple of years of almost zero content until things start dropping.
The real
they have to
hard
go back in
part,
production.
yeah, the real hard part, and because this is what happened after the last strike too, is that the first kind of waves of content that came out of the last strike weren't
Was
the
mediocre.
best because they were rushing to try and get shit out the door.
Yeah.
So that's the other part is the early content we get going to suffer.
Let me ask you this question though, real quick, and then we're going to bow out of here, both of y'all. Do you think that may affect everything that we know so far about Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool 3?
Oh man, that's a loaded question for me because personally, I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan in the first place. I don't feel like those movies are really rewatchable. I get why that everybody loves them. I get it; they're funny, but it's like haha in the theater, and then it's not films that I go back and routinely watch a lot. But his fucking bread and butter is it's like telling Will Ferrell not to do ad libs. That's what he does.
Exactly.
I can't imagine most of those first two films were on the original page. Like I imagine probably like 40% of those two films were shit he just threw it out, and then they were like, "Oh, that's good. Let's keep that one." And I don't know how that affects the movie going forward. Maybe it makes it better because because they're able to maybe concentrate more on the story as opposed to a whole bunch of jokes that after you heard, then what. So maybe it might have a positive effect on the film, especially since what it looks like from the endless fucking spoilers that they have to give us every day of what actor or character is going to be in this film instead of just letting us be surprised when we watch the damn movie. It looks like that this movie is going to have a big multiverse, segue to what's coming next in the Marvel films. So it looks like maybe the story here is actually important enough that maybe it's less important for this to be like 2-hour stand up for Ryan Reynolds and actually let it maybe focus on the story more since it can't be just him just fucking joke after joke after joke. So maybe him having less fucking riffing to do during the film is a good thing here so that they can focus on the story more. But it's not Deadpool without him doing that. So it's like a double-edged, it's a catch-22 really.
Well, consider the simple fact that now with the writer's strike over and before it, and they're still basically right now, they stopped production on the film, right? They had stopped it.
Yeah.
And so now they can go back. Do you think that he's going to
like,
go back
run
and
that
do
shit
all
back? We're going to do it all over again.
I think they'll have some reshoots on certain things that they'll go back, they'll watch dailies on it, and they'll be like, you know what? Maybe we can. I think they will. The Deadpool is one of the ones that I don't think is going to suffer
too much.
If anything, I do think it will be improved now because remember, while they were shooting it, they were under the strike for the writers.
Yeah.
So they weren't able to. There was no ad libbing allowed. Like it was whatever's on the script that on the page. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
And I think they had the structure for the story already. Then where the magic happens in the Deadpool movie, at least from my perspective, is the ad libs, is him riffing and him coming up with stuff on the spot, which he wasn't allowed to do when they were shooting the movie before the actors went on strike, while the writers were first on strike. So now the handcuffs are off and he'll be able to just let loose and do whatever, and have fun on set and ad lib. So I think you'll get more of that in whatever they have left to shoot. And I think they'll look very closely at what they've already got and see, does it work? Or do we want to go back and do some reshoots? Or it could also be a situation where maybe they don't need to do reshoots, but maybe it's just because you don't see his mouth moving under the mask, and they just record new dialogue for him for certain sections without having to do a full-on reshoot. So either way,
smart move that they stopped production. It's just who knows how much they really filmed before. But it's funny because it's like they probably were like, you know what, I can't do this, yo. Like, can we time out till the shit's done? Because I don't know how to just read the fucking lines and then just go to the next scene. I gotta be me. So let's just
or
stop.
anticipating it, they might have focused their attention on more like maybe some more of the
Scenes
action set pieces and stuff that aren't necessarily dialogue heavy or like worried about like the writing and the story and stuff. It's more like these key, production on those kinds of. Who knows? I think there will be some movies and TV shows that suffer because of these strikes. I don't think Deadpool will, outside of like a delayed release. I think that if anything, Ryan Reynolds is going to come back with a renewed kind of sense of energy, and he's going to have the handcuffs taken off, and he's going to be able to do what he's wanted to do on this movie since the beginning.
Now, the only thing that I'm thinking about now is like, what mind frame is Hugh Jackman going to be in, considering the simple fact that he's just now going through like a separation from his wife, and that whole thing that's actually happening. And
I think that was I think what was leading to the separation was happening while they were even filming the movie before. It didn't just happen overnight. I think again, I've never worked on a movie set for 16, 18 hours a day as an actor. I can't tell you. But I would say if you're in kind of a difficult, stretch of your life, being on set with one of your closest friends in Ryan Reynolds, making you laugh all fucking day might actually be a good situation for you when you're going through some real shit in your life. So maybe it's actually helping his demeanor and his mood on set and the way he approaches the movie. I don't know. Who knows? That's something that I don't think any of us are ever really going to know, because that's a personal thing with him and his wife, and he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, man, sorry, I shit the bed on this because I don't think he's going to come out and say.
You think it's going to be like even more invigorating for him to go out there and do his thing, bro?
Well, yeah, because I think it's different than what Ben Affleck's situation was with Batman, where he was like just drinking and he was depressed, and because it was the whole studio situation was really fucked up with Warner Brothers and everything at that time that he was dealing with. Whereas, this is a different situation where Hugh Jackman is going on to set every day with Ryan Reynolds, who's one of his best friends and is a funny motherfucker. And there's this whole movie is supposed to be having fun. It's not like a dark, serious, somber kind of film. Yeah. So, I think it'll be, again, I'm no expert, and I don't know these guys personally, but I think it'll be a different situation than it
was tone. It'd be more
Affleck in DC.
And plus, you basically have like a support system. Like I said, both of them are really good friends. And in the same page as far as wanting to have or make a successful film.
Plus, I think Marvel and Disney have a much clearer picture of what they want this movie to accomplish in their larger storytelling than DC had and Warner Brothers had with
he's not dealing with shit at home and at work.
Right, yeah. and it's not Walter Hamada, butting heads with people, and it's not people covering up bad behavior by Joss Whedon and that kind of. It's a different kind of environment, and so I don't think he's gonna suffer the same kind of pitfalls that Ben Affleck did with Warner Brothers.
The one thing I do hope, though, right off the bat, I don't care if it's a rumor or not, y'all better bring Daphne Keane back in this fucking film as X-23. I don't give a fuck what y'all do. At least a cameo. If that happens, I'll be happy. I mean,
Disney's got a good relationship with her. She's in The Acolyte. Like, she's already part of the House of Mouse, family.
Yeah, so
let's go. Why not bring her in for this one, too? Even if it's just, like, for a day.
Just for a day, bro. If you bring it back Negasonic Teenage Warhead, bro, then, for Deadpool, then you got to bring her back.
But to be fair, Negasonic was a surprise hit in both the first two movies. Like, people had no idea who the fucking character was, and everybody loved her when she was so that would have felt out of place if they didn't bring her in. The only thing that really feels out of place to me when it comes to this Deadpool 3 movie, if she doesn't actually show up at all, which is what we're thinking, is Zazie Beetz as Domino. That's the only missing piece of the puzzle for me that is essential to the movie.
This is true. This is definitely true. Anyway, sorry everybody out there. We almost hit 3 hours, but it's definitely been some great discussions tonight. We got some comic talks in there. Definitely, we got some, which we will be back because Vinny, I want you to fucking read that Wonder Woman. You gotta fucking read it because that's going to definitely be a conversation to have next week, because it is definitely very good. But yes, we will be back here next Monday to have this conversation to finish and stuff like that. Shout out to Jason. I know you setting up at the crib, bro. Hopefully you get everything situated with that.
Stay away from them gators.
And stay away from them fucking gators in your backyard, bro. Fuck that. I don't give a fuck. That's I don't, bro. He said, oh no, they have something special in the back that keeps them away from the crib. Man, shit.
I got something that keeps me away from gators. I'm in PA, not fucking Florida.
Yeah, seriously. There's like 10 states between me and Florida. That's what's keeping the gators away from my fucking house.
Fuck that, bro. Hell no. Fuck that. Anyway, thank you guys out there for being with us. What you got going on, Brendan?
Not much, man. I just fucking client work getting done, and adjusting things. But I just sold like a bunch of hot toys and statues.
Word.
And then bought like $2,000 worth of comics. So shifting stuff around. But so I got displays that I got to move around. Freed up a bunch of space with.
Does this mean you're going to get rid of some of the module cases?
No, I don't want them to be as cluttered. I want more room in them so that I can display pieces.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I've got some large scale statues coming, and so I needed to move stuff on, and so I am no longer an owner of Mythos statues.
Word.
All three, the original Vader, and then Maul and Ventress, are now gone.
You sold them.
I did to my guy who owns the comic shop. He gave me a really good deal, so he'll sell them. They'll find a new home, but I had to do it. I needed to make room for some pieces. That I
see you ain't get rid of that Assassin's Creed shit.
Oh hell no, that's not going anywhere. But actually, I did get this guy in today.
Oh word!
X06 DS9 Quark. I don't know if he's going to focus, but
yeah.
But yeah, like,
and they just put up Savick for pre-order.
Oh yeah, I got Savick coming.
Yeah.
Yep. This Quark is fucking awesome. It just literally came in this afternoon. But yeah, I had to clear some space because I've got
interest though, bro.
I know, dude. But dude, I have a 1/3 the Batman coming, like the Jim Lee like art style, not like the concept art one.
Yeah.
I've got the Jorge Jimenez Joker on throne, like holding the broken cowl. And then I've got the 1/3 Legendary Beast classic Iron Man. I have all three of those that are going to be coming. The 2 Prime ones are going to be coming in the next, like probably by the end of this year. Legendary Beast Iron Man is going to be next year. But yeah, I've got those coming. I also have it on good authority that 2 different companies are both working on 1/3 scale Daredevils. So I need some space. So that, and like, getting that money in for those hot toys. Boom, I sold them on a live stream. Just
Did you take a hit?
Knocked them
at
out.
All?
Oh yeah, I gave people good fucking deals.
Okay.
I gave people good fucking deals because I'm not trying to gouge people. And it was like the money coming in was good, but it was more I needed to get them out. I needed to get the figures and the statues and the boxes out. So, and it's like, dude, I got the new Black Panther figure.
Yeah.
So the old one, which was like the new suit, but like the
sold
old one
it
from the Solo.
You got rid of that one.
I sold it to a dude for $150.
Good deal. Shit, like, I sold that the Beskar Mando for like $160.
Dude, I had two Durasteel, the OG Mando, and I sold one for $200.
Word.
I could have charged like $300-$400.
You got $200 for it, bro? That's fucking surprising because I didn't think that I could get. Yeah, bro.
Sold it in a live. We did a live stream sale, and I would like pull one up. incinerator trooper. Like, and I still have some for sale. So if people want to,
you know what I've been teetering around, but I'm like, nah, I can't do it. But I keep going back to her, but I'm like, nah, I can't do it. Hella.
Oh, I won't let Hella go.
I can't.
Nah,
I can't.
I won't let Hella go, but I am letting my Guardians go. Gamora, Nebula. Like I've got a bunch of figures that I'm gonna be selling. So anybody is interested, hit me up. There'll be another live stream sale at some point. But like, yeah, I was just like, I need to clear space. I need to get them out, and I need to clear space, and then if I can use that money to fund buying a bunch of comics, then I'm good.
2 tears of bucket. He said, "What's Brendan's?" So you doing the live stream on Instagram?
No, it was on YouTube. It was a YouTube stream. Yeah.
Word.
No YouTube channel for me.
Word.
I run my own video business, and I have no interest in making my hobby into my job. So I do some I make video content like when I feel the desire to, but everything that I do, I go on my Instagram.
Yeah, word, definitely, man. But again, hey, if y'all want him, hit him up. He might got some stuff that y'all need. Inbox, Instagram, whatever you want to do, and say, hey, are you giving this away or whatever? What are you selling? So you'll probably get a whole bunch of people inboxing you, asking you, what are you getting rid of? So just be prepared for that. So definitely, man. Thanks for being here as always. Vinny, what you got going on, bro?
I'm working on some Ahsoka projects. I have Inktober coming up, and that's going to be super time consuming, so I'm preparing myself for that. I have New York Comic Con coming up next month. Just got my badges in for that, so I'm really excited for that. So I've been prepping some strategies for books I want and prices to to be prepared for, to look for, that type of thing. And I'm looking forward to penultimate episode of Ahsoka coming up tomorrow. We'll be you guys will be talking about it on Thursday. I'll probably have to miss that one. I'll be
we don't know yet, bro, because you're not going to be there. I don't think that CC is going to be there, so I might just
we'll figure something out, I guess. Maybe
we'll figure something out that we might have to just pull off 3 episodes the following week or something like that, just to do it and just run through them, considering the simple fact that the next week will be the season finale. So we might as well just basically just sink all 3 in.
Yeah, we could just make it a big mega thing.
Make it a big mega show because it'd make more sense to do it that way. I think.
Yeah, so we'll Thursday I'll be in B-more to see SZA, and then Friday we'll be in Atlantic City to see Nas and Wu-Tang. So that's a gauntlet in itself. So 2 concerts back to back. That's gonna be a lot. So that's a lot, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being busy with fun stuff as opposed to busy with work. So that's what this time of the season usually is. Work lightens up, and then I just load up my plate with just fun stuff that I'm too busy to do during the summer when I'm busiest with work. So other than that, and then back here next week to talk about Wonder Woman plus everything else.
Yeah, bro. Just read it because games we're gonna have some discussions on why we think that's just gonna fuck.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, for those who haven't seen it, go online and check out Jim Lee's Wonder Woman. He completed the triptych of the infamous Superman and Batman.
And then Wonder Woman's now actually a part.
I wish it was for a run. Superman's was for a run, Batman's was for a run. He should have at least did a 6-issue arc for Wonder Woman to make that. And had that the first issue like you did with the other 2. But at least we got it.
At least we got it. That's the most important thing. So we did
that was missing.
Get it. So
Anyway, today is Christopher Reeve's birthday too.
Okay.
Would have been 70, I think 71 or 72.
Which is crazy because today is his birthday, and NR dropped that Batman, the BVS,
the Henry Cavill,
Henry Cavill one. So,
which, man, Jason's been walking around with a heart on all fucking day.
Yeah, I know he's been super hype about it. So, definitely. I pre-ordered it. Well, actually, I didn't have to pay for a pre-order because I had like a credit through Spec Fiction that I used on it, so it's pretty good. But now I know I have to sell off a few of those over there to kind of, make some space, which, was the intention. So, but yeah, man. Again, thanks everybody for actually tuning in. What we got next? Uncivilized. Oh, no. We got Say What on Wednesday. Again, Figure Flex Friday, of course. Collectors Lounge. And no Figure Flex Friday this Friday. It's gonna be on hiatus until the following week, as I got some stuff going on this Friday, so it's gonna be a day off. But yeah, the only show that we got going on this week is Say What, and that's it. And yeah, until next week, we will be back here for another conversation here on Comic Book Talk with Friends. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in and being here with us. I'm taking my black ass to sleep because I'm tired and got to get up in the morning. But again, I will see you guys later next week. We will be back. But again, love y'all. Till next week, we are out.
Peace.